Hey, P.Money, brother. Can you hear me?
Hey, yeah, what's up? What's up?
What's up, bro? Hey, thank you so much for your time tonight, my bro.
Oh, pleasure, pleasure.
Did you have anything planned? You didn't break your plans, did you?
No, not much planned this evening, Monday.
Bro, with level one today, man, does that open up? Are you still doing live gigs and stuff?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's a big part of how I make a living. So, huge news to know that we got the all clear for the large gatherings.
Man, yeah, bro. Oh, anyway, sorry, mate. Just getting all my shit together.
Yeah. All good, all good.
You know, I got a lot of things. Bro, we got a question in the chat for everybody. I want to see everybody's favorite Dirty Records artist. All right, we got David Dallas, we got PNC, we got Scribe, and it was Vince Hart on Dirty.
Yeah. For a short period of time, we had Vince with us as well.
All right, is there anyone I'm missing?
We had a secret. If anyone can name the secret artist that was with us for one album release, then you get a special prize. There was a guy. He went by the name Unique, and he does like one song on my first album. And we actually did an album deal with him, like just to put out his first thing. And then we basically dropped. It's not funny. We let go of him from our roster like the same week we put the album out, which is terrible timing. But it didn't work out.
That is what it is. Where was he from?
He was from, I want to say, Tiaratu. Yeah, Tiaratu.
Oh, man. Some talent coming out west, eh? Out West Auckland?
Yeah,
especially
definitely.
Lately.
Always.
Yeah. Oh, man. Anyway, bro, let's get straight into it, bro. Edmund Hillary, brother. We're going all the way back to Edmund Hillary, my G. Bro, like, first time hearing Peter Piper pick peppers. Run DMC, bro. Explain that feeling, my bro. When you heard that the first time, you got that cassette tape. Was it on cassette or was it on vinyl?
Bro, the first time I heard that song, I didn't even hear the song. I heard like other kids in my class rapping it. That's how I heard like that Run DMC song. Peter Piper was two other friends in my class rapping it back and forth like they were a little Run DMC. We must have been, I don't even know, man, 8, 9 years old. We were kids, like little kids. And I was like, oh, that's cool. That's all, like, as my memory serves me now, it's kind of like, that's cool, what is it? And then maybe within a week or so, someone has a cassette tape with like Vivid written on there, like Run DMC, and I get to take that home. Maybe I was older, maybe I was like 10. I was definitely old enough to like want to get a tape and listen to it. But we were small. So yeah.
Man. Told you on that Nardwad shit, brother.
See, bro, that was a true story. How do you know what was happening?
And then I pull out P.Money. We have to know this. And then,
we have to know.
Nah, man, but like Edmund Hillary, bro, that's good, man. That's there's a lot of history at Edmund Hillary. In terms of, there's a lot of people that came out of Edmund Hillary from Papakura and then went off to. So did you go straight to where'd you go intermediate? Like, was that intermediate?
So all of these schools are right next to each other. You have Edmund Hillary Primary, then you have Papakura Intermediate, and then you have Papakura High School. And I lived on Laurie Ave, which is the road that borders both of those schools, or almost all three of those schools. There's like a dairy and I think a liquor store now, but there wasn't when I was growing up, like on the corner. So if anyone knows that neighborhood, it's like Settlement Road, Laurie Ave. I was right there. And that was the beginnings of it all, man. Went to all of those schools, and yeah, that's where I was at.
That train station was legendary. There was a lot of shit that went down at that train station.
Yep.
Bro, I remember drinking it up. Everybody, I remember like people from my hood, some from Rewa or JC, would go out there just to drink up with the bros, like during school time. You know, wow. And then because there was no fences back then, people would just walk out. Yeah. They didn't care. Even Papakura's got some history, bro. Phil's from. Did Phil go to Papakura High?
I'm not certain. He may have. I don't want to say he didn't, but obviously we're 10 years apart, so I wouldn't have been there at the same time as him. But yeah, he's definitely Kura though. Kura hard for sure.
It's Kura, and Kura's grown a lot lately. Like I've been, like I got to go through there to go to work, and I'm like, far out, man. It's still cool. Like, you know, it's not one of those depressing ones. Those like ones, but it's like, oh shit, like they've got a lot of things going on. It's cool to know that you came from there, bro. Like, to be honest.
Yeah, man, that's just where I grew up. You know, it's where my parents chose to reside. My dad was always working in the area. He had a men's clothing store, which is something that's kind of gone out of style. You don't really have an independent like owner operator men's clothing shop, but that was my dad started that business when I was probably 14. Prior to that, he worked for another guy who had a similar business. So I was always in the main street of Papakura, Great South Road, because I'd just go see my dad at work, and then my dad like started a shop, so I'd help him at the shop. So just all around that main street, like my whole childhood. Yeah, it's just you just leave school, you walk uptown, you go to the 2Js and you play Street Fighter, or you watch other people play Street Fighter because you don't have any coins, and then you go home. Or in my case, go to my dad's work and then I go home with him.
But they still have like hardcore skate, across the road from old Roadies, the Roadhouse.
Yes, I know it well.
That's why I brought it up, bro. Actually, we've got some camera footage on. What I was saying was
camera footage of empty gigs of me playing in the hometown, and only a few people come. But some of the nights were big, but a lot of them were quiet. Over there
on Wednesdays, bro, and they have all you can eat ribs, brother. I'm telling you, that's the day you got to go.
Okay, see, now I've been getting it wrong. I've been going DJing on a Saturday. I haven't played there in years, mind you.
It's the amalgamation of all you can eat ribs and then Dole Days on Wednesday as well. So it's like you get in there, brother, and it's good. But right across the road from there, Street Fighter. There's a few Street Fighter machines, and that's where I used to go, because you could get across that car park easy from the train station, go straight in, play some streety, then come back, have a piss up with your mates at the train station, and then you're good. And then somebody does some dumb shit, and then you're like, fuck.
Invariably someone does something dumb, and if depending on your age, you're probably a co-defendant on that situation.
So, bro, how'd you get into DJing then? Like, so out in Kora, there wasn't a lot of rock shops out those ways, but like, especially in the 80s, like, how did you get started?
Well, it was more the 90s for me, like being a teenager, and just loving. There's other, older kids or whatever. We'd share in rap music. It was all on cassette. It was on tape. So that was the main format. We were listening on cassette tapes and just like always just fiending for the latest albums. And I was always excited by there would be a lot of DJ elements on these songs, like hip hop from about 80, when I was tuning in from about 88 to 94, 5, there was so much scratching in the songs. Like DJs were main parts of songs and groups, so the chorus wouldn't even be a sung hook. It would be a DJ cutting up some words or some sound effects. So that's what got me. And it was DJs like Terminator X from Public Enemy, of course, Jam Master Jay, Run DMC, and Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Like, Jeff's still one of my favorite DJs. So these guys were all doing their cuts and scratches as the main part of every song. And I thought, well, that's an awesome way. Like, I wanted to be involved in music, but I was too shy to be a rapper and be up front, and I didn't think I had any stories to tell. So I was like, how can I be involved? And it just made sense to be the DJ and play the beats and let other people rap and, give everyone else the space to rap, and I'll just be in the background because that looks cool and it suited like the shy kid that wanted to do music. So that was really my motivation. It wasn't so much like I saw other people doing it in my neighborhood or in the city. Yeah. Because I was pretty much at home and then at school and uptown for like an hour or two and then back home. So I wasn't a kid going into the city and sneaking into clubs or any of that. I was at home. And I got hold of like just the record player. Like, man, this is showing age, but people of this generation might know. We used to have your music source at home was like a MIDI system. So the bottom was cassettes, then the middle was a tape, radio tuner, and then the top would have a record player on top. I used that. I started learning on that. Wow. And just like scratching the record back and forth and breaking needles and just trying to make it happen, man. Anyways, that's the origins. That's how we start.
I gotta give you props, okay? Because I heard through someone that you hustled a turntable by trading in a black and white TV. Is this true, bro?
Yes, you are, Nadwa.
Bro, hey, I do my research, brother. I'm just saying that.
This is crazy. I considered myself a pretty lucky kid to have this old ass tiny black and white TV that was in my bedroom. I could watch my own TV as a kid, like 13. But the opportunity arose. I saw someone with a proper turntable, a standalone, not a 1200, not an expensive one, but a turntable that wasn't part of this whole stereo. I was like, I need one of those. And so I offered this lady who was a friend of our family, I was like, can I have that? And she's like, well, yeah, but maybe not, like you have to buy it. And I said, oh, can I swap you my TV? And she wanted to give it to her kids. So she's like, yeah, we don't use records. You have the turntable, we'll take the TV. And that was the best trade of my life.
Thank you, bro. That's hustle. Was mum and dad all good with that? Or they were like, what the fuck, man?
No, yeah. I mean, a little bit, like probably my dad, but I'm not sure if that television was very valuable. It was pretty old even at that time, that technology. Yeah. So it was cool, man. That's how I got my own proper turntable. Then I could set that up in my room and start trying to copy the scratches that I heard on everybody's songs and trying to mimic like what I'd hear in mixtapes. But I only had one turntable.
Yo. And then,
so it wasn't like mixing. It was just scratch. That's it.
And straight up hustle at the garage sale to get that mixer, right?
No, the mixer came along probably a year later.
Was the other turntable from the garage sales?
The mixer came along a year later, and then a second turntable around the same time, and that was garage sales for sure. That was
garage sales used to be the shit, yo.
Bro, I swear, it's like $20 maybe, and I picked up this turntable, and I picked up a set of speakers, big like wooden box looking things with big woofers, and it was sick. It was perfect. So by that time, maybe I'm like 16, and I've got this most rugged setup, but that's all I needed, man. I was getting busy.
But did you get into any house parties, bro? I bet ones.
Nah. See, I was really, I guess, left out of social circles, or just not a very social kid. I was super like nerdy about music and hip hop and like graffiti. So I'd be practicing tagging in my black books and other places, and just doing music or trying to learn how to do like musical stuff. So I wasn't going out. I didn't go out to parties until I started getting booked as like a proper DJ.
Because, bro,
which is pretty weird, right?
For me, man, like DJing's always like, whenever I think about DJing back in those days, I always remember Martin Lawrence on House Party.
Yep.
And like how he stuffed all that stuff in that little ass car, and then he was like, "Yo, I gotta come too." They're like, "Man, we'll pick you up later." I was like, "Fuck, man." That always rings true to me, bro. Like,
and that's true for a lot of DJs. That that was kind of that was a comedy version of what would really happen. Load up. But my story was a little bit different. It was quite isolated.
Let's go back, bro, a little bit. Like, how did BFM, like True School, like affect you as a teenager, bro?
Wow. Immense, huge impact on my awareness of music, like knowledge of music, my knowledge of DJing and hip hop culture. And this was from listening to like DLT, Severe, of course, and Mark James, aka the Rhythm Slave. He was up there, and Bass. And those four guys had this radio show called the True School Hip Hop Show. And I would listen to it religiously every week for 2 hours, Thursday nights. And I would record that on a cassette and listen to it all through the week, and then the next week record the next show, and just, man, that was like the best. That was the best, man.
You ever get pissed off at these kids these days that like moan that they don't have opportunity when they have YouTube and Google? Right? I know this is old man shit right now.
Who's complaining though? Like, are people in your life complaining about?
I don't know.
Like young people,
all these young ones, all these young bloods,
all these imaginary people,
all these young bloods. They're always out here. Bloody hell, fucking complaining about every fucking thing. No. But you know what I mean? Like sometimes you're like, man, you guys have got so much at your fingertips. It is so crazy how you guys aren't better than what you actually are. How you guys?
I'll counter that. I'll counter that because. Okay. For those individuals who are as obsessed with something creative as I was when I was a youth, I think they do get better, and they get better quicker, and because the access to knowledge for those really driven people. So look at DJ K Swiss. You've heard of him?
Yep.
DJ K Swiss. How old is this kid now? Maybe 15 tops, 16? He's been DJing since he was
10.
He was DJing since he's 10 years old. He's a 3-time world DJ champion.
Oh, that's
at
crazy.
Age of barely 16.
Yeah.
So that's the perfect example. I think that's a kid of this generation with all the resources, with all the YouTube, with access to everything. And it doesn't hurt his old man was a DJ, so they already had the equipment in the house. And he could just go so deep and learn so much. He's infinitely more skillful and technical than I think I may ever be, and that's at that age. So I really hold him in a high regard. But that's my answer to that. I think there's a lot of kids that get distracted with all the technology and just end up doing things that are not very productive and maybe wasting a lot of valuable time as a youth. But then there's those exceptions that are just using it to accelerate their learning and become brilliant at stuff. So I tend to focus on the positive cases rather than the less productive ones. But
way to go, Pete, making me look like an asshole on my own show.
Not at all, man. That's my viewpoint. That's my view on things.
Listen, Pete, jeez, I invited you on here. I just want to let you know that.
Yeah, no, all good. No, these bloody scallywags, young people.
Yeah, let's go back to that one. Eh? These fucking kids, these with their Serato and that shit. They don't understand.
What are they on about?
We'll cut that out. That's a bite that we're going to put on the socials for.
Yeah, great.
Fucking P.Money talking shit about the youngins. Oh, bro. So like, when you got into battling, bro, what's the first kind of like when you dipped your toe in, bro, and you were like, listen, I'm just gonna fucking battle this shit out.
Yeah. First one.
Yeah.
First battle. I want to say 1997. Auckland. It was called the ITF, International Turntablist Federation. Sound like a boxing organization. And it was Severe actually organized it. He brought this brand to New Zealand. He got they had different. It doesn't matter. They had competitions around the world. He did the Auckland one for us. And DJ Rock Raider, rest in peace, is a legend. He came down from New York as a judge, and I already looked up to him. He was already DJ world champion and one of my greatest inspirations. So I just wanted to be there and participate. And I felt at that time like I had some skills that were up to par. So we went in that battle, man, 1997, and then I finally realized there was other people like me in the world that lived in New Zealand. There were other DJs that were doing these similar kind of tricks and stuff. Because I got to say, man, I didn't really know who was out there. I had never heard of like DJ Raw or Reese B and Sean, the dudes that from Wellington that were killing it at that time. So I got to meet them and see them do their thing. And I came out all right, man. Did my first battle. I think I was somewhere like 4th place or somewhere around there. And that gave me a lot of confidence to like really, really go at it. What
do you reckon about DJs that just loop beats and they like drums and stuff? They do a lot of drums in their sets. Are you a fan of it?
How do you mean?
Like just they just use a lot of drum. Like they what do they call them? Beat juggles.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing.
Yeah. So I want to say that because I want to bring up Abbott from Hastings.
Oh yeah.
You've been on record that said that like fuck, bro. All this dude did was just beat juggle the whole time.
No. Incorrect. Because now we've got to get real nerdy. This is only for the DJ turntablist nerds know the difference, but there's a little technique that some people call chasing or strobing, and essentially it's like you play 2 copies of the same song and you play one beat slightly later than the first one, and then you just kind of crossfade back and forth between those 2, and using certain songs it can sound exciting and kind of like, I don't know, it just sounds like, well, that's crazy, but it's incredibly simple to pull off once you know how to do it. It's not as complicated as other things. And at the time, I was really mad because he beat me with one of those style of tricks. Oh. And I thought I was like super advanced and technical. And I was like, my stuff is more difficult than his. But it was a really good lesson because the audience could care less how difficult it was for you to create whatever you're showing them. They just want to know, does it sound good?
Yeah.
Does it feel good? Does it sound good? Is it exciting? Yes. They don't care about the method that it took you to create it. And that applies to everything in the creative realm. No one cares about your process. The audience just care about the end result. So that was a lesson.
Like, that goes with everything, right? It's exactly, it's the product, and that's pretty cool, man. Because at that time, what would you have been like? What, 18 maybe, 20?
Oh, that one.
Yeah,
20. Yeah, 20, maybe 21.
Yo, you would have been on your own. You would have been fucking getting high on your own supply at that time. You'd been like
20. Yeah, no, I was. Man, my ego barely fit in the room at that time.
And then
It was that was a good lesson, man. It was a good night because I came into that competition as a favorite, and they have a preliminary during the day, and they have like, I think it was 12 of us, 12 DJs. Everyone goes and they rank them according to who's the best at the start of the day, so they know how to do the run of the night and put the better guy up against the bottom ranked person, and then hopefully the winner, whatever.
Yeah,
so
seeding.
tournament
Yeah.
seeding, the terminology.
Gotcha, mate.
So I was the first seed. I was like by far the favorite. So I didn't even really do my best set against the Abbott. And that was another lesson because I had better routines in my bag. And I was like, nah, I'll just use this one. It's more complicated and technical and that'll take care of him. Oh, no, it did not. So I went home with my tail between my legs and had to really think about my whole attitude towards these competitions and what I really wanted to achieve.
Because I mean,
so it was a really good night.
How many routines do you like set up before? At that time, how many routines did you have in the bag, bro? Like you're like, I'll pull this out.
That's a good one. I think from memory, there's a mathematical way you could figure it out. Like if you were going to make it all the way to the final, I think you needed to have about minimum like 7 routines, and then you'd cover each round and hopefully have enough gas in the tank to do the final. And if you had more, then good on you. You're very organized. But I'd usually go in with like 7 or 8 different things, and each routine's probably like 90 seconds long. Yep. So it's not that much material, but when you realize how much time it takes to learn one of these routines, which could be weeks and months, then having 9 of those in your back pocket is like a big task.
So like speaking of like routines and stuff, so if you could fucking straight up Doc Brown it, bro, and get that DeLorean up to 88, bro, and go back to 2001, bro, when you came third equal, brother, and that routine, bro, when you had, who was there? There was Clever, there was Kintaro, who else was there?
Plus one. Here from the UK, he ended up winning the whole thing.
Bro, like what would you have changed? Because that's the same format, right? As you have your bag.
Well, that one, the DMC competition that you're talking about in London in 2001, the format is just 1 6-minute routine. So every DJ goes up there and you have 6 minutes. So you put all your best stuff together. So mine was like a combination of probably like, I guess, 4 other bits that I put together into one thing. Sorry, what was the question though? The format was slightly different.
If you could change it up, like the routine, what could have you done? What like P.Money now? Like, what could he have told P.Money back in 2001? Say, oi, don't fucking do this, or oi, you should do this.
Don't go and drink with Mickey D, my mate from Wellington, heaps the night before. That's exactly what I would say. And I wasn't even much of a drinker then, but we drank so much and we stayed out very late, and I was quite sick to do the performance. So I wasn't in my best health. And actually, if you watch this video, I kind of look a little grey in the face. I don't look well.
Did you think you were gonna like might come off fucking bad? But did you think you were actually gonna do that well?
I had high hopes.
Oh yeah,
but,
obviously.
No. My goal was to make top 12.
Oh fuck!
Because they had a videotape every year, and they put the top 12. There's 30 countries, so 30 countries participate, but only 12 make it onto this video. And the videos were like, how do I even compare it to anything today? The videos would travel around the world for a whole year. Everyone would want to watch that tape because that's the 12 best DJs in the world. So I just wanted to be on the tape, even if I was number 12, so everyone could see my routine and I would have accomplished something. Oh. So no lie, when they started, everyone had done their thing and I felt like, hey, I kind of did all right. I made a couple mistakes, but it was pretty good. I was at backstage just talking to some of the other DJs from Canada and around the world and just socializing. And they were reading out like 3rd place, 2nd place, and they read out my name. And I was oblivious. I wasn't paying any attention. Like the guys I was talking to was like, yo, they just said your name. You need to go out there. So I walked out onto stage to receive my prize, and I was totally stunned because I still didn't register why they called my name.
Yo, fuck.
So it's like, it's crazy, man. It's like getting the bronze medal and you kind of don't realize why. You're like, what are you doing? Oh, I have this prize now. Oh, thanks. Oh, wow. And here's DJ Cash Money from Philadelphia, who I stole my name from. And he's presenting me with the award. And I shake his hand like, oh my God, I'm meeting like my idol and I'm getting a prize. And what just happened? And it was a blur. It was crazy.
Because I mean, like, that kind of, I don't want to say launch pad you, but that really did like set off a whole series of events that kind of led to who you are, right? Like now, is it? Yep. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. That was probably the first big news event or big achievement that I had under my belt that I could end up doing a bunch. I ended up doing a lot of press type stuff. So TV shows would interview me and people would mention it in music magazines and all the types of media formats at the time. So my name went from Auckland, kind of local and hip hop scene, to I guess my first little bit of nationwide attention, and it was a big noticeable difference, and yeah, it definitely was kind of the start of more to come.
Yeah. So like, how did that? Is the skills from DJing like? Cause I mean, bro, fucking like I'm pretty. I know of it, but are they transferable over to like making beats that you started really getting into?
Well, not specifically the like technical skills, but yes, absolutely the experience from DJing to an audience is absolutely valuable and transferable to working in the studio with artists and producing songs. And I say that because when you are out DJing regularly to an audience, you have the perfect view and vantage point to find out what people like, what makes people move, what people respond to, you know, different moods and energy and how things react with a crowd. So you do that for hours and weeks and months and years, and you amass all this information that you can then draw on when you're in the studio finishing a record. And you know, if the artist's intention is to make something for the peak moment in the dance floor, then you know what elements should be there to get that result, and vice versa. If they want to do something, I don't know, something more left field that's going to play in a certain environment, if you've been in that environment and you've played music, you'll know what works in that environment. So like, oh, this is how you want to tailor it. So I took a lot of that experience, and I still do. I lean on that and recall, you know, it's always there. It's always informing the decisions in the studio.
Because I think like, because you started making were you making beats as well as battling and stuff like that at the same time, correct?
Yeah. It was all evolving at the same time, but the DJ stuff was more visible, you know, because I'm out there in the public.
Did you ever get? Oh, sorry, brother. Did you ever get like some of that? Like, I know these days they call it like that imposter syndrome, but in terms of like your own beats, and you're like, you know what, man, I'm just doing this for fun. I'm not trying to fucking sell this shit. But like, but did you ever like feel that, or was that not even a thing?
Yeah, I was definitely looking for approval as a young producer, beat maker, trying to do things. I was like, oh, I hope people like what I make, and the whole economy of selling beats in that marketplace didn't really exist when I started. There was no such thing that I knew of like selling a beat. It was just I was just making stuff, and then I'd play it to people who I respect. Like DLT was a good guy that would listen to my tapes, and
he's a legend too. He's the man.
Oh man, you
Bro,
definitely talk to him on here. But
okay, I'll get him.
No, so yeah, no, the imposter thing, I guess, to some degree. And it wasn't until I would play beats to people like Shay Fu, for example, and then he's like, "Yo, I really like this. Can I use this?" And then I was like, "Oh, these beats and things I make could be songs."
Yeah.
And he kind of sparked a kind of idea, I guess, for me to like really try and track down rappers locally and record songs.
Tell us the effect that Shay Fu had in terms of putting you on, in terms of putting you in front of the right people, because that's what I know that I've heard.
Yeah, with Shay, see this connection you mentioned, the True School hip hop show.
Yeah,
that was like the focal point that I saw for hip hop especially in Auckland, if not the whole country. So I made it my business to meet the guys that do the show, not just listen. So I'm meeting Daryl was like the biggest, like DLT was the biggest kind of plug. And then Severe after that was the next biggest plug. So Daryl would like, let me, man, it's a long way to the story, but I think it's worthwhile for the viewers. Daryl would invite me to the studio when he was making his second album. No, was the first album, True School album. Yeah, his first album. And when he was working on ideas for those tracks around the same time as they made Chains. So I was already friends with him before they made Chains, or at least not friends, but it was, I knew him and he knew me enough to like come through. So then I wasn't in the studio for Chains or any of that at all. hadn't met Shay yet, but I knew DLT. And then fast forward a bit of time when they did actually release Chains, before it had hit number one, it had just come out and they were doing the promo run for it. I went through to Hunters Plaza, Papatoe. They had a Sounds music store and they did an in-store performance of that song.
I remember that.
So I rocked up.
I remember that store, bro. That was right next to the fucking escalators, right?
Yeah, it might have been, bro. Your memory
Yeah,
better than mine.
bro.
But it was in that mall, and I went there just to link with him and like show support and just be there. And I'm still like kind of a kid at this point. I guess I'm 18. Yeah, teenager, just out of high school. And I met Shay through that night.
Oh.
And then, you know, so we got to talking, and I think Shay then might have saw me later on, not long after that, at like a something at the power station. There was like a talent hip hop show, and I had this random group that was put together of like 4 dudes, and I was the DJ. And he saw me DJ and cut and scratch and do this stuff, and so he was like, "Oh yeah," because he's a big fan of scratching and DJs. So we had kind of connected, and then, man, I'm giving the real long version of this.
It's all right, bro. We got time.
So I've kind of connected there, but it was no talk of like, let's do music or whatever. I think it was just like, oh, he was like, who's this dude? And I was like, wow, that's Shay Fu. He's amazing. And I've listened to him since Super Groove, and he was like superstar in my eyes. So I was always really nervous when I was around these guys, but I would do my best to try and be in those circles wherever I could. And then fast forward 1998, that battle, no, 1999 ITF battle. I won that one. That was the second battle that I ever. No, that's the first battle I ever won, I think. Second battle I won. I forget, man. My memory's terrible. But I won the battle, and then Shay was there. He's like, "That was me. Congrats." And then Manuel Bundy called me up, and I knew Manuel was the DJ for Token Village, which was Shay's band at the time, or his whole crew. And Manuel said, "Hey, I can't do these next few tour dates with Shay. Would you be available to do it?" And to me, that was like the doors to my career had opened, and Manuel Bundy had just put it on a plate. Like, if you take this opportunity, see what happens. And I was like, bro, yes, Shay's like my favorite artist. I would love to do that. And he's like, cool. Well, practice is at this time, at this location. Just be there, and Shay will tell you the rest. So I went to practice, and I was basically down with the band within the first practice. Like, I just kept turning up. I'd always be early to practice and stay till the end and just rehearse and learn all my parts and do everything he told me to do. And I basically got down with the band, and then the band had a new name. It was called The Crates. So I was in that first lineup of The Crates, Shay Fu and The Crates.
Oh, man. Bro,
so
that's crazy.
Kind of it was a bit of time. It was probably like over the course of 2 years or so of getting familiar. And then Shay put me down with the band and gave me that opportunity to, man, it was like looking at the music industry from inside, but without all the pressure of being an artist or anything. All I had to do was use my turntables and do the parts that he wanted me to do, which was really easy for me. Yeah, it was wicked, man. It's such a great time.
Yeah, I think like because I got Shay on Wednesday, bro. I'm gonna fanboy out, yo. To be specific, was like the jam, yo. Like when I was in intermediate, that was all I listened to. That and Mace Harlem World, and
crazy combo, man.
Bro, I know, but like I used to just like rock out to that stuff, and then bro. So yeah, I've got to fucking get over that shit. Okay.
Shay's great. He's the nicest guy, and yeah, he really, really did show me the ropes. Taught me so much behind the scenes stuff. I must have been super annoying when I think back, but I was always asking hella questions about the industry and just everything. I just soaked up as much knowledge as I could hanging around with him, and yeah, he really put me in a position. Like he put me in the videos, you know, gave me little spots in the videos, like fadeaway video I'm in there, and those things actually meant a lot back then, because a video would be on national TV, you know, still had chart shows and stuff. So you get some screen time, you start to become known, and it was really valuable.
Was that like was all that information that you soaked up like helpful in terms of when you started up Dirty Record? Dirty?
Yeah.
Like that would have been like, I'm just thinking about it, like I'm kind of piecing everything together, and I'm guessing like, man, all that shit that you would have, because Shay would put you on, like he's like, I'm guessing he would have been, because I interviewed Donnie, and Donnie said the same thing. He was like, bro, he just drops gems of knowledge, like, and you just have to pick them up and run with them. And then I look at that, and then I think what you did with Dirty, and I was like, fuck, man, like I can kind of see how it all played out. How did Dirty start for you?
Wow. So I guess it was about close to a year after, excuse me, about a year after the Shay Fu album, The Navigator, came out. Like within that time frame, I was making a lot of beats. I was working on the radio show. That I was doing the True School by then. I was hosting that show that I talked about previously. I became the main host of the show, and we'd have a lot of MCs come up on the show. So I knew all the local rappers, and anyway, I just was like, there's so much talent, and I felt like in a way that show and myself were somewhere like the hub of a lot of that. It'd be you come to the radio to kind of like Decepticon's first interview of appearance was on our show. So there's like Savage and Miracle and Alfred Devolo, people would just come there. So it was like a perfect way to meet everyone. And occasionally after, if we were getting along, I'd go in the B studio and play some beats and be like, what do you think? And they want to take some beats home and write raps to it. I'm sure we'll get to the Scribe story, but I did one trip out of town and met him and would send him beats, post things in the mail. Wasn't even emailing beats back then.
Fuck.
Because I didn't have a computer at home with the internet. So I'd send CDs down. Anyway, I'm totally losing track of my story, but
keep going. You're doing well.
But yeah, so it was this demo stage of making songs that, like even Four Corners, they're from Hamilton, another rap group that I was really, really close with. They would come up to Auckland. And so then one time I was like, well, I know a friend who has a studio. My old friend from school, we'll go to his place and ask for some time. He gave us some time. We recorded with Four Corners and did a song called The Whole Truth. And because I'm at BFM doing the radio show, I could take it to the station manager and say, hey, can you play this like on the radio? Fuck. And he's like, well, we'll give it a chance. And then they play it and then the phones light up and we get support for the song. So then the song becomes a #1 on a BFM chart, which is very encouraging. And then we're like #1 there for like a month and everyone's talking about, oh, you need to do another song. So then I reach out to another person and another person. And so we got all these demos. I'm like, well, now I feel like I've learned what it is for like from being in the band with Shay and him putting out that album and doing some beats on that album. I've kind of seen the process, but I know I don't want to be in that system. And I'm not the artist, so I don't think I could even get a real record deal. So I need to DIY this thing. So I need to find other people that are doing DIY music. And all I could see was in the only people I saw locally doing it that were accessible to me was these house and techno guys over in Kingsland, and they had this thing called Cog Transmissions, which was a small record label and a couple of studios, and all the electronic dudes of the time would be making house music and techno and drum and bass. And I just rocked up there one time. I had a meeting with them. I was like, I want to do what you guys do, but I want to do hip hop. And they were like, what is this hip hop you speak of? It was a pretty funny reaction. They were super nice guys, and still a lot of them friends to this day. But I think there was confusion about like, well, they don't know anything. They didn't know about rap and how to market it or how to even make it. I said, don't worry, I know it all. Just give me the chance to do it. and they flipping did, man. Like, credit to them. They opened up the studio to me and said, just come through. And I slowly started bringing, like, Shay came and did some bars. And then, Decons came through, did some bars. And then Four Corners. And we just compiled all these songs. And then next thing you know, I'm like, hey, guys, I've got the whole album done. And they're like, oh, okay. And I was like, can we put it out? And they're like, yeah, we have this distribution deal. It goes through Universal. Let's master the album. You just have to make the cover. That's another story. Ended up using a photo, blah, 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 made the cover art. And then they put it on a sales sheet. Back in those days, it was real shops, music shops. So they put it on a sales sheet, and the guy goes to each shop and says, how many of these you want to order? And the shops knew who I was, and they saw the guest lineup, and it had like Shay Fu and all these names on it. So they started to do the pre-orders, and that's got it started, man.
Yep. And that was Big Things?
And that was the beginning of Dirty Records. That was Big Things, the album.
Yeah. Wow, man.
The first album was what started the label, because it really wasn't, the idea wasn't to start a label. The idea was just, I want to put out a compilation album with all my friends, and then hopefully that will work, and then I'll do albums for each of my friends that are on the album. That was the idea.
Was Scribe 2001 the first time that Scribe got on, like, at anything?
No, he had featured on, I believe it was a Pacific Underground compilation out of Christchurch, and they had a song, the name escapes me, he'd rapped on there, and he definitely recorded stuff with Ali in Christchurch. Oh, yeah. I can't remember if they had put anything out, or I don't think they had sent anything out. Maybe they had played stuff on RDU in Christchurch, because they had their radio show down there. But yes, nationwide, like a single with a video, Scribe 2001 was the debut.
What was the first time? Like, you were you saw Scribe and you were just like, fuck, this dude's kind of got it, eh? Like, could you remember back to that time? Or
Yep.
Was it yep, when was that, bro?
That was in Dunedin. I want to say 99. And it was my first trip to the South Island. We did a Christchurch show and then a Dunedin show. And in Christchurch show, I didn't really pay attention to what was going on. He was on the mic and I was doing something, I was just a noisy club and I wasn't watching the stage because I didn't expect to see some amazing MC. It was just like, oh, he's hosting. Cool. Hosting's no big deal. Everyone can be a host. But the next night, we drove, because we drive from Christchurch to Dunedin. It's quite far. It's like 4 or 5 hours. And Severe was with me and he's like, bro, did you see this dude rap last night? And I was like, nah, I wasn't really. I was doing something else. And he's like, you need to watch him. I was like, okay. So then in Dunedin, I watched him and I was floored.
Oh.
I could not believe what I was seeing. Just the voice, the timing, his energy on stage. He was like that superstar version of Scribe that everyone got to know. He was that already in his hometown, like in his region of that lower part of the South Island. He was the man.
Platform, right?
He was already the man. And it was just like, whoa. And I told him on the drive back, I was like, bro, actually it wasn't on that trip, but I just remember saying, look, let's do something. Are you recording? He's like, yeah, I'm working with Ali. I was like, cool. Well, if you ever have time to do something else or want to work with me, like, I'm keen. And then, eventually we got it together.
Yo, because man, even on Scribe 2001, you kind of listen and you just think like some of these lyrics, some of these bars he's putting together, and you're like I do remember the first time I heard that, and I was just like, fuck, like I was impressed, and then I didn't even know it was a New Zealand rapper. I was like, oh shit, it's a New Zealand rapper, because we're from South Auckland. All we know is Mareka. Like, yeah, that's all I knew. I knew Mareka, I knew you, and I knew who else did it, and like Savage and the Decon Boys, and then that was it. Oh, and the Dawn Raid. Yeah, I mean, I can't say for that, but most of the Dawn Raid. Dawn Raid was big and making noise at the same time. Yeah. They were a little ahead of us as far as putting stuff out, probably by about a year or so with their compilation, the first Southside story. Yeah.
So yeah, everyone that was on that, those were like, that's who you would know if you're in South Auckland. But to be honest, the whole country didn't know. I felt like it's like you've discovered gold or something in some area, and it's like, bro, you are the man. But he knew he was the man. Like as far as the MC, because he knew who was the local competition. He had his ears open. He was checking the hip hop scene. Like we were all very active members of local hip hop, so we knew what was up. And but man, he was head and shoulders above everyone. And I think anyone from that time frame will tell you, like that he was so far ahead of everyone at that time. Yeah, it was no competition.
All right, by far on Big Things, my favorite fucking track is Fresh Maker G. Like when that fuck those cuts, man, G, and I'm just like, funny. Fuck. This is like I used to just like, and then like Scribe will come in like 1, 2, 1, and I'm like, oh shit. That was I would always skip to that first. That was the because
crazy.
We had fucking CDs, and then like you'd skip to that one. Fuck, yeah. Where's that sample from, bro?
Oh wow, it's from this really random, like a Broadway. I think it's a Broadway show or a play called, I'm going to snitch on myself. It's called Free as Air. And there's a certain recording of this play called Free as Air. And there's a part in there and this lady's talking about, I can't remember what the context is, but she says those words like, what's the bomb and all this. It was so goofy and funny, but I just was like, that would be cool if you made a beat out of it. And then I made a beat out of it. And then he heard it and was like, yeah, I got something for this. Just 1, 2, 1. And I was like, oh, this is crazy. And we just recorded it. And it was this super like just hip hop, like skills type song. It was nowadays, I don't think people would even do a song like that. It might be considered corny, but it was like, you just rap real dope and I'll scratch real dope and we'll make a crazy beat out of an unexpected sample and that'll be some real hip hop shit. And it was fun.
I remember cool. Like Dizzy Rascal had like a fucking similar one, and I was like, this is whack. Like, P.Money killed this motherfucker compared to the old, because they used to do
Dizzy.
that. Yeah, Dizzy,
that's
bro,
crazy.
Fuck.
Dizzy, shout out to Dizzy. He's a legend. Huh?
Have you met him before?
Yeah, I have, very briefly. I think him and Scribe spent a little more time together conversing and chatting. But I met him, like got the introduction, but I can't say I know the guy, but I really respect his music and everything he's accomplished.
So from Big Things, bro, then it went like, then the year after that was Crusader. And bro, was that like a fucking roller coaster of a fucking like everything going on, bro, that would have been crazy
Yeah.
at that time, right? And you produced that whole fucking album, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, well, I think it's fair to say Scribe had a vision. He, as most artists do, is like, I always want to have this vision for my debut album. But he needed that person to actually be the driving force to like put it together, someone that he could rely on to complete all the parts that he couldn't do on his own. And so together we made that really dynamic duo kind of team. He had these great song ideas, great lyrics, amazing voice, personality, the whole package. And my beats were probably some of the best that I've made at that time, and everything was just coming together at the right time. And I'd learned enough about the business of recording music and releasing music to know that we could do it properly. And also a huge shout out to my business partner, Callum August, who was one of those guys at that COG Transmissions label who ended up sticking with me for a decade or more, and with Scribe. And so the three of us really is what made that thing happen. And we had we had beats from Shan and Dunedin and beats from Ali and Christchurch to flesh out the album and make some of the great tracks on there. But it was me and the engineer Chris Chetland was recording it, and then Scribe would come through, lay down these verses and these ideas for songs, and then I would just add my touches and suggestions and kind of craft it into a thing. And when I probably spent, I want to say about 3 months on it, 3 and a bit months on just like fine tuning stuff. And Scribe's raps, some of them he'd had him in his book for like a year or so, and you just keep writing rhymes, and he was able to pick the best of all his best songs and turn those into the album. And yeah, man, it was, once that thing came out, it was no turning back. Life was completely different for both of us forever.
Because I mean, like, I can't really think back, like, from, I suppose, like, mainstream kind of took it on, like, like the hip hop these days. I love me some Sweat It and some Avondale and all that stuff, but they don't really get a lot of like mainstream love. But
yeah, that's fair to say.
Do you think like Scribe kind of like opened the door up for other dudes? Like, this is what I mean, fuck, bro, you know better than me. But I reckon, bro, after Crusader, then fucking Savage started getting on, and then D-Dot started getting on, and then like people were accepting, like, yo, because I hate to be like people didn't really like hip hop as much as we did until fucking after Crusader drops, and then all of a sudden everybody's a fucking, oh yeah, bro, I've loved hip hop for a long time. Did you feel that or no?
Yeah, and we welcomed everybody on board. All the new arrivals. You don't have to ask us. Scribe will tell you too. We still, when we went to number one, and we're having sold out crowds and thousands of people coming to see us, we still remember playing some of those same songs 18 months prior to a crowd of like 10 people. Things happen really, really fast, man. So we still knew the feeling of like turning up for a show and like, oh, guess tonight is just practice. There's no one here, And then for that to all change so swiftly was amazing. But the point you were kind of touching on, it was like this wave, right? This wave was building up, and then the wave, like it breaks and then it rushes the shore. And at that point, Scribe was like the break, and then everything else followed and kind of came in with it. And that was wicked. So we'd kind of collectively been able to create this momentum, and that's like from Shefu, King Kapisi to Dawn Raid and Dirty coming at the same time, and then just Scribe being the one to just like boom, he just kicked that. I'm trying to find some other analogies,
that's a great analogy.
He brought it all in, so everything just rushed in, and so there was this big opening, and then you had some other newcomers that would hit the charts that you'd never heard of them even 6 months before, but now they're in the top 10 as well. So you had groups that had been around for ages, like Day Hummer. He'd been rapping for at least 10 years by the time he got to his number one spot. So that was well overdue.
Fucking forgot about him.
But he kind of rebranded as Day Hummer and came back with a new sound to go to number one. But he came in, you had all these different groups. And then because you had a top tier, then it actually left more room and encouragement for the underground tier. So then you had like Breaking Records and PNC came out of there, and different other groups around the country popping up, different movements. So it was a really special time, and I count that from the wave sort of building up 2001, 2002. breaking massive in 2003. And sad to say, by end of '06, it kind of felt like it had dried up a little bit. So it was it felt like a huge amount of time. But when I look back, it was a pretty small window of commercial mainstream success, acceptance, popularity for local hip hop. And we certainly dominated for a couple of years. In the charts, Savage killing it. He had a bunch of number ones. Nisha Mystic would having number ones through all of that time as well. They weren't classed as like strictly hip hop, but they were still part of the fam and part of the culture. So yeah, it was a beautiful time for local music, hip hop specifically. Yeah,
because during like that wave, I suppose the year after Crusader drops, because once like I know that's like D-Day. Like once Crusader dropped, everything kind of. Like what you said, it just the crash of the wave was great, especially for hip hop fans, especially for South Auckland. I think for South Auckland more than anything, because especially for kids in South Auckland. Because bro, I'm from Rewa, and everyone's like, "Yo, you should John Walker is our hero," and I'm like, "Nah, G, Marika's from Shifnal, G, straight up, like bro, he was in my class, and I've told this, he was in my class at JC for like a month, and then he got expelled, and then I didn't see him again, and then I had his brother, I had Ray on the other last week, and Ray was saying the same thing. He's like, "Yeah, bro. Let's not talk about that." I was like, okay. But but Mariko for me was like, oh shit, this dude was at my school, yo. And then he went to Papakura with Frisk and all that. And I was like, oh shit. And then when they got on, because you produced some of their stuff, right?
Yep. I did the song Fallen Angels on their debut album. And they also did a song on Big Things. And I remember picking up Frisk from high school, drove out back to Papakura. The studio was in the city, drove all the way back out, picked him up. He was still in his school uniform. And he's like, and he was probably the same size he is now as an adult. Like he was a really large kid. And I'm like, how are you fitting in my car? Like in your school uniform? This is bizarre. I thought he was already an adult, but I didn't really realize that he was so young. But that was amazing, working with all those guys. And Decons, they were massive. Mariko was a big deal, man. And he achieved some amazing stuff in his own right, like going out to New York and recording with, like he recorded Wu-Tang Clan, man, with Inspector Deck. Like that's amazing.
Oh man, who's some slipped on artists, bro? Back in those days that you're like, fuck, bro, if they got bars, man, like a Mariko, it just kind of didn't get a break,
I would have loved to see Four Corners, like the timing of when they dropped their first actual album was probably a little bit late. Now in hindsight, they could have been a part of that big commercial wave, but the record, by the time they got it together, it was like the excitement and New Zealand hip hop being a new thing had died off, and there was a little less mainstream interest, and they started I don't know, just playing Panic at the Disco and shit like that. But yeah, Four Corners, I think if the timing had worked out different for them, they could have made a lot more noise, because they were really a lot of people's favorites off the Big Things album, and I did a lot more work with them. That didn't. Most of the stuff we did came out, but just the timing of it is all. Yeah, just the timing of it. So probably them. Like as far as my favorite guys of my generation, yeah, like Koma is still like one of the illest. He's so good, man.
Yeah, I've got in the chat, bro. We just got most slipped on artists. We got Mariko, Four Corners, Cyphernetic, bro. I was a big fan of Cyphernetic.
Well, he did a lot, man. He did a lot of, with Break and Wreck was his thing. That was his crew, his kind of label. He did put out albums and mixtapes. So yeah, he definitely got out there. Didn't break through, but I don't know the guy. But I don't think he was ever aiming for commercial. I don't think he wanted to be doing what we were doing. Yeah. I'm sure he would have liked a little bit more of some of the success, but you choose your path.
Yeah, I think the other one is old Uncle Tynes, old Tyner.
Yeah, he's kind. Yeah, see, they got an album out too. The Dubious Brothers that came out. Tyner is so talented. I love his verse on Stronger on the Crusader. I played that song again recently for the first time in quite a while. That's it. Bro, fuck. Go back to that, man. That verse is crazy. So good.
Oh, bro, fuck, you're bringing back some memories, G. Let's move on to Magic City, my bro. I love Magic City. I fucking love Magic City. First question, where was that fish and chip shop that you took that photo in front of?
That is the 2Js. That's straight across the road from the old roadhouse that we were speaking about.
Fucking knew it. See,
That's it.
it all connects up. It
Yeah,
all
that
connects
was
up.
very deliberate. That was very purposeful.
See, like from a hood, dude. I knew that was because I saw that bike rack and I was like, "That's across the road from Roadies." And then,
That's it, man.
but like, yeah. So, fuck, what up for like a South Aucklander, and to see because like those types of food bars, you're like, "Fuck, man!" Like, but I always remember seeing my first time seeing that and going. Because there's one very similar in Rewa on, and I was like, fuck, is it the same one in Rewa? And then it wasn't. So I was like, oh yeah, I thought so.
Well, of course, it had to be the one from Papakura because that's where I'm from. But I knew from my travels that kind of everybody's hood has one. At least one. Like it's very similar design. It's a very, it's a very unique kind of fast food takeaway setup that we have all across the whole country, and it's unique to us. But I hadn't seen it repped, in that kind of way. So I thought that seems perfect for me to put on the cover. I don't know. I just always thought I'm going to put that on the cover. And there's been iterations of that since then. I've seen other artists do illustrated versions of the similar thing or whatever, and it's cool. Like because that's just us. It's almost like putting a dairy on your cover or something. I think Swiddit did something similar with like a dairy / bottle shop for one of the EPs, and it's cool, man. It just kind of ties it back to where the music's from, where the artist's from, and yeah, that's important to do, I think, in your visuals.
I think Magic City was the last album that I brought on CD. I'm thinking back, it probably was.
Wow, the end of an era.
Yeah, because then it was fuck, my mate got one of the mini discs jump offs.
Oh shit!
In his car, right. Bro. In his car, and then we were like, "Fuck, that's mini all disc. We would get on that Napster, we'd get our shit off there, we'll put it on the old on the mini disc, and that was us. That was the jam back in the day.
That was a short-lived format, but it was actually really good quality.
Yeah, bro. So like, the best thing, and this is my favorite thing. Oh, I've got a few favorite things about Magic City, bro. But that fucking when 3, 2, 1 starts, bro. I always remember that's for me. That's top 5 start of an album. Like that fucking.
Sick.
Bro, fuck. When you produced that, were you just like, fuck, this is it, bro? This is what we're starting with this shit straight off the bat.
Well, I didn't know the order of what the album was going to be, but I just loved the intro because it's Welcome to the Terrordome, Public Enemy. I'm like a hugest Public Enemy fan, so go back and listen to that, and you'll see. Cool. So, I kind of was taking my inspiration from there, but I wanted to make it a modern version or a 2004 version. So I just took that beat up and actually took it with me I did a little recording trip to America, and I went. Because Magic City was like, I'm going to get all these American rappers on this album and the locals and mix it up. And I went and managed to get a session with a guy, Mad Skills. And he picked that beat from the CD with like all these other beats. And then he put that chorus on it. And so there's a version with just him doing the song. And then once I got home, I was like, man, this is definitely like the jump off, like the way to open the album, and definitely I wanted to make it a video, but then I was like, I need to make it localized, because when I was in America recording all the American artists, it all made sense. And once I brought all the music home, I was like, but it doesn't relate back to home, so I've got to make this work. So then that's why the video version is PNC and Constar, aka David Dallas.
Yeah. And
then Skills' verse is on there, but he's not in the video because he was still in Philadelphia or wherever he was at the time. Yeah, man. Yeah, but thanks. I really like that track. It's one of my favorite beats that I've made.
Because that's like brings it up with the like a reoccurring type thing. Is that like you were like one of the only dudes, New Zealand dudes anyway, that could do a song and then do a remix to the song, and that'd both be successful in terms of hearing it. And because I mean 3, 2, 1 had the remix with David Ellis and PNC. And and then on the first, and then on there's not many, and then there's a couple of other ones. So like bro, is that like, do you just, is your thought process just like what you said was like, bro, I just want to keep going with this beat, I just want to I want to see what somebody else has to say on the beat? Or was it just like, oh fuck, let's just do a second one?
Yeah, usually at first, like let's use the not many example, was that the original first version of the song, which is opens the album on the Crusader, was always meant to be Scribe's intro song. Like that's how he approached it. He's like, this is just the intro for the album. But when we laid it down, it was like 1.5 minutes long. I was like, bro, this is too good to just stop. So I had to twist his arm and talk him into putting that second verse on the first version. So then it was a song. And then we released Stand Up as the first single. And then we put a little bit of Not Many on the video because we wanted, back in those days, you sell a CD and you might have a couple of extra tracks. So it was Stand Up with Not Many on the CD single. But then everyone was going out there buying the single and they were like, yeah, this Not Many song is actually an even better song. Well, this is my favorite more than the #1 song that was out, which was Stand Up.
Yo.
So then quite quickly I got that feedback from fans and people whose opinions I respected. And I was like, true, Not Many's mean. And then Callum, my business partner, was like, well, let's just make and put out a single that's Not Many. I'm like, but everyone's already bought it because it's on the other one. So we can't, I didn't feel like we could go ahead and sell another CD containing the same song. Everyone's already got it. It's not going to sell. So then there was just a pretty quick idea over a cup of coffee. I was like, there was good caffeine that day. And it was like, let's do a remix and we should put Savage on it because he's awesome. And then we should put someone unknown on it. And this dude, Dave, Concert, he's mean. And because my friend showed me his CD and it was like really, really short, quick thoughts and in a short timeline, because we had to hit a certain deadline if we were going to get another single out. This is the boring mechanics of the music industry. There was a certain amount of time that we had available to us if we wanted to get a single out before the album came out.
Wow.
So it meant I had to, because there's all these production deadlines back then. It took ages. Like once you record a song and then you got to send it in for the CD to get made, then it gets manufactured and gets shipped to the shops. And it's a mission. It's like about 8 weeks. So I knew we needed to record it like in the next few days, like the next 5 days. And then we can get it in the system so that it'll come out and there'll be enough space before the album, blah, 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 blah. So I just called the guys and was like, well, I need you to do, if you're keen, I want you to do this remix, just do a short verse, like 12 bars each. But I need you to record it with me next week on Tuesday or whatever it was. And Sav was like, yeah, I'm down, but I'm on the tour. I'm on the road till Sunday, so I can't write it till then. I said, sweet, bro, write it whenever you write it. And Dave was brand new. He's like, yeah, I can do it, but why so quick? And I was like, it's Tuesday. Like, if you want this opportunity, just take it. And he's like, oh, all right. Yeah, man, we went and got it done. And then the other part was the video, which also had a big lead time. So I already decided, if we're going to do this and the song turns out good, I'm going to want to shoot a video, but I can't wait until we get the song done because there's a timeline. So I'm actually going to call the video director now, and we don't even have a song. And I'm going to book him for 2 weeks from now and say, I want to shoot this video to the song that doesn't exist, but we're shooting it in 2 weeks from now. And he's like, you are crazy. I said, yep. And I'm going to spend a lot of money on this video, but it's going to be the meanest thing. And he was like, it was Chris Graham, and he worked with us on Stand Up. He's like, cool, I'm down. And I said, and if we don't get the song done, then nothing happens. Is that cool? He's like, yeah, sweet. Let me know when you get it done.
I was having
it was crazy.
I was having a breakfast one day at a cafe, and Chris Graham came in, and I go, holy fuck, you're Chris Graham. And he goes, bro, hardly nobody ever recognizes me. And then he sat down and we had a fucking good old chat. I was like, fuck, you're the man, brother. He just came in by himself. I was like, yo, let's chat.
He would have loved that. He would have loved that.
Yeah, he was. He was like, yo.
He's good for a chat. He's good for a chat. I'll tell you a funny one with Chris though. Like me and him, we got off on the wrong foot from day one. It's so funny considering we did a lot of really epic, legendary work together. But the first time I ever heard of this guy, I'd never heard of him in my life. And I put out the Scribe 2001 song and video. Now, if anyone remembers this video, it's very budget. And believe it or not, me and Scribe had shot that ourselves. We borrowed my friend's Handycam, like handheld video camera, and we went to play a show in Sydney. And long story short, we just roamed around in the hotel we were at, in a really bad hotel, and just filmed it in the hallway and in the elevator, and then at a couple of shops. Random, no, we are not video directors.
Let's be honest.
It's really, but this is 5 years before YouTube, so it was like a YouTube video.
Is this the one in the elevator, right?
Yeah. We're in the elevator. We're on the top of it was because it was really, really bad weather. We wanted to flex in our immature minds. We thought it would be a flex to shoot our first video in Australia. Oh, big deal. We're in Sydney. We thought that was mean because we are kids that had not really traveled much. Like we hadn't been anywhere. So it was a big deal. We're going to play a show in Sydney and we're going to shoot a video. but we're doing it on no budget and we're staying in the worst place. And on top of that, it's pissing down with rain the whole time we're there. So we can't shoot any of the famous locations. Everything's inside. Anyway, so pointless. Why are we shooting a video in another country when you can't see the country?
Bro, I've got a question from the chat, bro. This is from Nick Fornell from Christchurch. He says, his one is there a version of Not Many with D-Dots, a full verse in there somewhere? I remember him in an interview. Dave talked about how clean you cut his verse shorter for the radio. Yeah,
because I had asked him mistakenly to record a 16-bar verse or to write one. So he wrote 16 bars, but then the space was actually only 12 bars. So I had to chop 4 bars off the end. And that recording does exist somewhere, but I never made like a version of the song that has that full verse, because before we even got to that point, I was like, bro, your rap's too long. Why are you not stopping? And he's like, oh, I wrote more stuff. I got them on the paper. I was like, nah, you need to stop there because that's where the chorus comes in. And he's like, but that doesn't make sense where I end it. And I said, just at the end of your thing, just say, let's go. and he goes, let's go. And then that's it.
And to this day, everybody's saying, let's go now.
Yeah, they say, let's go at the end of the verse. It was just like, just say that. And it didn't, at the time, it wasn't even slang. It didn't really make sense to say it. But anyway, it was like an ad lib that became, I can't claim like that's why people say it now, but it made it onto the verse. It was like, that was it.
Bro, what's, because on Magic City was the first time we kind of got Akon, and Akon was like fucking on the come up, man, at that time.
Yeah.
How did you link up with Akon at that time?
Well, I got to shout out Kirk Harding and B-Side. And so Kirk, for those that don't know, was a music industry figure from New Zealand who moved to New York City and worked at legendary Loud Records and was head of international marketing, blah, blah, blah. He ended up working at another company. So around 2004, when I went to visit New York, he's working at this company, SRC, and they were the label that signed Akon. But Akon wasn't not a known artist at that time. So because I had a relationship, I knew Kirk, and he put me on to this guy. Like, he played me his mixtape, and I just said, this dude is amazing. What's happening with him? He goes, oh, well, we're trying to launch his career. I was like, well, he's amazing. And my other friend, B-Side, worked at that same label. So I got introduced to B-Side. And then he became a friend of mine and just really wanted to help me out with my music. And was like, oh, you got mean beats. Like, you're great. I can link you with this artist and see who wants to work. So he kind of A&R'd Magic City, like all the international features. Wow. He helped me put all that together. Without him, I wouldn't have got any of those people involved. So that he was a huge, huge help and a good friend. So that was me, man. So anyways, I go to New York on the second trip. B-Side's like, come to this launch party Akon's doing his like showcase, and I meet all these industry people, and it's amazing. And then outside the gig after, I get introduced to Akon, and I was like, hey, great set, man, you're awesome. And he's like, yeah, I heard a couple of beats, like I'd love to do something. And I was like, let's work. And he's like, cool, send me the music. And that was the conversation.
That was it. Fuck, sometimes
that was literally it, man. Like, that's about as much as I've ever said to him in my life. Like, other than a few chats over the phone when the song was done and other things after that. But yeah, it's like that. I haven't spent much time with him. We just linked, and he liked the music. I liked what he was doing. And it was so early. That's what I think was the big thing. It was so early. He hadn't become a superstar yet, and he just wanted to work with people from overseas to get his music out to the rest of the world.
Yeah, bro, he capitalized on that shit.
It was just fortunate timing, man. Yeah. And obviously Savage got a song with him around the same time, through a lot of the same connections. And then so that song Moonshine became a huge hit as well. So Sav was on that as well. Like, we just heard, once you hear Akon for the first time, it's like, oh yeah, he's just one of those artists. You'll never forget him.
Yeah. Very unique voice, and you're just like, fuck, this is good. Yeah. Fuck, bro. So there was a massive gap between Magic City and everything. Was that the time where you were just like, you were in New York, just like sharpening your tools and things like that, or no?
Nah. So Magic City was 2004.
Yeah.
Now, what was happening at that time was Scribe was still a huge superstar in New Zealand, obviously, and he was becoming a big deal in Australia.
Yeah.
So I was obviously still working really closely with him. He's on my label. So we had a lot of business in Australia to take care of in 2004. And so we continued to tour and promote his music there. And he became a really big deal in Australia through like that period, like 2004 and 5. So it wasn't like now. You put music out now and it's in every country at the same time.
Yep.
Back in those times, you put the music out and you'd have to try and break through barriers and levels to get to different countries. So we went to New Zealand. You started here, of course. Then we go to Australia and work there for like a year. And then we got to go to the UK. So we're in the UK in like 2005, promoting the same music that was out from 2003. We're still pushing Not Many and still pushing. But then we had Magic City album as well that I could walk around and show people. And they'd be like, oh, wow, you got all these big American artists. And at the time, the UK was still jockeying the US scene. And so that opened doors as well. It was like, wow, you got this sick rapper Scribe with these amazing singles. And you got this producer who works with all these people. So we had a lot of opportunities over there. And then it was time to do Scribe's second album. So my view was it'll be like big things, P.Money album, Scribe album, Magic City. The next thing has to be a Scribe album. And so Scribe wasn't quite ready to record, much to my frustration. I was like, let's go. He's like, nah, got to get it right. So then I was like, well, what else we got? Let's do an album with Dave. And he wanted to do the album with his producer. So we made a group. It's called Frontline. Well, they made the group and we put the album out. And then the next year, 2006, we put out PNC because like we need to have more talent coming through. So that's why it was such a long gap, because I really focused back more onto the label from 04 to 2007 is when Scribe's second album finally saw the light of day and came out. And it was quite an arduous process to get to there. So after 2007, I had to chill. I had to take a little break. And then I came back 2008 with everything. Yep.
Yeah, because I think because PNC album, like there was a few things on Rookie Card that I was like, yo, but Bazooka Kid, I was like, okay. Like, I don't know. Why do you think that PNC kind of like, I don't know, was he overshadowed? Was he shadowed by like or was that when the crash was happening in terms of like people were kind of over hip hop or something like that? What do you think?
We can talk about that because I think what we probably didn't realize was we had this moment in the sun as far as hip hop in New Zealand and specifically for Dirty Records. We had this moment, this momentum from these albums that we just talked about. And maybe to some degree, I personally got a bit like complacent, like, oh yeah, whatever we put out, people will buy it to a certain number of units. So we can kind of bank on that.
Yeah.
So that's not a good attitude to have. You should always be thinking like, you got to do your best. Nothing's a given. But anyways, that was kind of where I was getting to with it. But then that was met with a little bit of the tides turning, to use the water analogy again.
Yeah.
We'd had this huge wave of New Zealand hip hop. And then for whatever reason, I just like music, and you look at the charts, it all started to shift because you had this period where it was like hip hop and overseas stuff as well. Like a lot of big R&B and hip hop acts was number one. And then 06 to 07, it started being all these like pop and post-punk kind of, not rock, but yeah, post-punk kind of emo, emo phase came in. And that just like dominated in all those commercial outlets, and they just decided, oh yeah, the hip hop is not popular anymore. And I'm sitting here like going crazy. I'm like, what do you mean? This has been the most popular music amongst everyone I know since I was a kid. Like 10 years before we put out any music, it was just the biggest thing. So what are you telling me this is not what's popping? So it was a bit of a struggle to break a new artist like PNC and continue with that new artist. In an era where they weren't really supporting it unless it was some breakout number one type of thing. And he came in, his first single was nearly top 10. It was like number 11, which is a huge accomplishment now. But at that time, it was like, he didn't hit number one or top 5. So yeah, it's a mediocre, but it was actually quite successful. So I don't know. By the time the second album came, also Sam, I don't know if it's got to do with me, but he's very, very opinionated. Like Sam is PNC, and he just wanted to like direct and call the shots on what songs he did, and I didn't always agree with what songs he did, and so yeah, it was funny, man. I didn't work on that album as closely as I did the first one, because I just want to give him a space.
Because the second one, Bazooka Kid, it was very kind of cartoony kind of beats, I mean, maybe that's just the theme, like, because the whole like the Tyrannosaurus Rex thing, and I was a bit
see, those were his ideas. He wanted to have the raptor
that's what it is,
character, which I think worked really well in the first rollout because it was just kind of odd. And speaking of YouTube again, YouTube was like new, and you would we kind of did the first not the first, but our first attempts at kind of viral videos. We'd take him to a sneaker shop and try and put shoes on this dinosaur, and the people in the shop be like, "What is this? It's really weird." It was somewhat funny. It was funny to us, and I don't know if those are still online, hard to find, but I've got way off track. Okay. I don't know, man. Sometimes you put out an album and people don't like it, and or they do like it, but that's just we're not able to give it that push. And actually, huge part that I'm overlooking. We were with a distributor called Festival Mushroom Records, and they were with us to put out Crusader album, huge success. Magic City album, very, very good success. Frontline. And then around the time we're doing PNC, that company got bought by Warner Music. So now our entire label has been bought by another company who's had nothing to do with us and don't know us as people or artists. And it was a really, really tough time to get that team on board and have them understand what we were even trying to do with our new artists and our new releases, and to follow and support that stuff. So that was also behind the scenes, probably more of a factor in not being able to promote the music the way we wanted to. Shit was just tricky, man. Yeah. I don't want to lay blame on anyone. It's a fucking long time ago as well, but it was difficult. It was really difficult.
I mean, there's always contributing factors that contribute to things like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just a one thing. Like,
No, it's usually never one thing. Yeah. That's what people say about Scribe, and they're like, "Oh, that was golden era hip hop. You guys should do it again." Like, there was so many other things happening.
Hey, I'm gonna pull this trick on you, P. Who the fuck said that? Huh? Who pulled that shit on me?
Man, I've had young artists who, I don't think it's fair to name them here, but I've had young artists who are new into hip hop in New Zealand who want to replicate that kind of success, and they have come and asked me, how did that happen? Why did it happen? And do you think do you think we could do it again, but do you think it could happen again?
Oh, okay.
And that's happened with almost every new rap act that's come up that I end up meeting. At some point, that conversation comes up. So I'll say that.
Okay.
Well, everyone asks because they want to know what's the magic secret. I'm like, I don't know, but I kind of know what was happening at that time and the environment that created the possibility for something like that to happen.
They want the everlasting gobstopper, mate. You
know, bro, if I had it,
just like, hey, come on. Give us the recipe. And you're like, fuck.
Yeah, give us the secret. And it's like there kind of isn't one. And if I had it, I'd probably be still using it. I don't know. It was a moment in time.
So when everything came out, bro, that was totally like not a U-turn, but it was a left turn.
It was a left
from what you've like normally done. Like what? Because I know that like the Tikitani was a big fucking contributor to that, right?
Not to that song.
Oh, no. To you deciding, holy shit, I better do something different, and then moving forwards?
You know what? It was, man, you have done some research. There was one very poignant conversation, a moment that I remember having with Tiki. And he wasn't involved in the creation of that song, but in the decision-making about what for me to release next. I was like, bro, I've got a couple of songs up my sleeve, and one's real different. It's like, probably will freak people out, and it's either going to really work or it's just going to bomb and everyone will be like, why did you even try? And then I've got this kind of hip hop song that sounds really similar to everything I've been doing in the past. And people will probably accept that. But I don't know if it's going to go all the way. Which one would you choose? And he's like, freak them out, bro. Just go the freaky one. Whatever's the weirdest, different one. Do that.
That sounds like something he would say.
I was like, that's awesome. That's all I just needed someone to kind of, I don't know, help hold up a mirror or just give me some motivation and just be like, look, take a chance, do something different. That's more exciting. Do something that's exciting. I think he could see that I was actually more excited about that direction than just doing what I'd been doing.
Yeah.
So he encouraged me, man, and what a dude. Like it was the right advice.
Even the album cover was a bit different, Was that one with the computer, right? That yellow thing?
Yeah, see, the funny thing is the album was about 2 years after that single.
Oh, wow.
And the one thing I regret is calling the album, naming the album everything, because the album should have been called something else.
Yeah.
But it was kind of some old school record label type of thinking where I was like, well, that was the hit single, everything, and everybody knows my name is attached to that song, so I'll make an album with the same name. But it was terrible. Should not have done that.
What I liked I mean, bro, when you've got 2 remixes to the same song and the same song. If you didn't call it everything, people would call you out, bro. Like, why don't you just call it fucking everything? There's like 4 songs that are called everything. 3
why don't you just take a bit more time and make some more songs and have an album that makes sense?
Well, I couldn't say that to you, P.
Far
Fuck.
right. I'll tell you what, though, that album was really fun to make because following the success of the single Everything with Vince Harder, which is, I still love that song and it was very popular. From there, I felt like I shattered any kind of preconceived notions of what I should be making, because I kind of painted myself into this corner of a certain type of hip hop, and like that's what people expect. And in branding or marketing world, they probably say I should never have changed it, but I'm a human being and I want to be able to express myself in different ways. So that album is that. It's me going, I'm going to try and make a disco house song like Armin van Helden because I love that, and I'm going to make a rock song because my bro Milan is the singer from Pluto and he's great and I want to do a song with him. And so there's these different contrasting sounds and things, and I don't think they're not all super well executed, but it was just that's where I was at. It was like, I'll just clear the schedule. Like I'm going to try to do whatever kind of genre. And it kind of became a business card for my production after that. Not really as me as P.Money, but as a guy that can kind of have a go at producing different artists in different genres.
Diversifying your portfolio is what.
Exactly, bro. After 10 years at that point, I was like, I needed to do something different.
Bro, Vince, I'm just looking at the thing. Vince is on like 7 of the 13 tracks. Where did you find Vince?
Man, Vince was on a talent show in Australia. But, I mentioned a character named B-Side.
Yep.
He was also, at that point, he'd moved from New York and by some chance ended up working as an A&R in Australia. And Vince had sent him some demos. And then he just said, hey, this guy's from New Zealand. He's good. You should probably listen to him. So then I did. And then I was like, I don't know this guy. He was on the radio talking about doing theater and stuff because he'd been in The Lion King. So I didn't really, I was like, what an unusual combo of things. Like, he's a great singer. He writes these R&B songs, but he's in the theater and like, he's very talented. So we just met, and man, Vince is he's so talented, songwriting, singing, performing, that it was just effortless in the studio. Every time I put a new beat up, he'd have some ideas for it, or at least a melody or something. And then we'd work on the song. So he became like the kind of main, I guess, vocalist for that project. Because he was just contributing the most ideas, and that was what was happening at that moment.
I'll tell you a story about Vince, bro. Okay, let's share stories.
Okay, yeah, because I don't know that much about Vince, his history, so I would love to know. So
I used to work at Child, Youth and Family, bro, at like the residence where the hardest kids in New Zealand would go, like a prison, like for kids. And bro, oh fuck, this is beef just as everything came out. I think it was like around the time he was fucking with you and shit. And then he used to work, he was a music teacher for the kids' school, right? And one day, this kid, like, because these are some hard kids. This is in Weymouth, the boys' home there. This kid fucking threw this chair at him, mate. And I tell you what, I fucking took one for him, mate. I fucking jumped in front of that. And I fucking... and then from that moment on, bro, he was like, bro, you're the man. Gee, thank you so much. And then I didn't see him for ages. And then I just see him on TV. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is the guy I fucking saved, mate. I fucking saved that guy. Okay, I put my body on the line, my arm, I smacked that out of there. But it's just the nicest cat. Like, he was teaching kids about like Fruity Loops and shit like that on like some piss poor fucking PCs. And he was just like, no, this is how you do it, this is how you do it. He'd bust his guitar out, sing for the kids. But yeah, he was the man. He
is the man. He's such a nice guy. He's always very giving of his talent in whatever context. So that I'm not surprised by that story, but I am amused that you took a chair for that man.
Fucking straight
just so he could be great. So that Vince could be great.
WrestleMania 2001, bro, in the fucking residence. Hell in the Cell. It was but bro, was it nice to do big things too on that album?
Yeah, that was like one of my favorites because it was just like pretty uncompromising beat. I don't even know if the guys, I don't think the guys like the beat that much, but they rap real good on it, man. So yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I just played that like about a week or two. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, I did a live stream and then I played that song on my live stream, and I was like, oh, this takes me back. There's something quite electric when you get like those guys all together. You get Scribe and Dave and Sam and even myself in a room, and when we get to perform together, whether it's a concert or record something, it's pretty special. It doesn't happen very often or often enough, because man, it's hard to get them all in one space. But yeah, it's when it does.
Would have been
wicked,
cool.
Man. Yeah,
would have been some nostalgia. Like, fuck, this is what we used to do all the time.
Yeah, it gave me that feeling. That's the only reason why I called it Big Things too, because I didn't have a name for the song. It's just like, it just reminded me of those songs that we made back then when we weren't thinking about a pop song, or not even a pop song, just the way you kind of make rap songs now and versus then. It was like, just put the beat on and rap. Like, who cares? Like, just do it and let's move on.
And then your last one that you did was, well, I mean, you did your EP, but Gratitude was the last one where you had like, how did you feel about that album?
Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah.
I think it's got some of my better songs on it. And with regards to like my collaborations with the US artists. Yeah. It was different, way different though. I don't necessarily think the beats, like, I don't know. It's funny, man. It was a funny period for me. It was weird. But some of the beats I come back to and listen, I'm like, yeah, that's good. And some of them I'm like, could have been better.
Because, bro, getting Freddie Gibbs on, I love me some Freddie Gibbs, bro.
Yeah, Gibbs he's a G.
Fuck,
so good,
bro. And then like there was a Celebration Flow, which is quite cool. Like I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's a nice song.
Yeah,
yeah. Aradna, like, she's one of my favorites, man. Like, I'm sure she's a lot of people's favorite, but she's just so unique, special, talented, gifted. Like, I can't say enough. Like, anything she records with me is always it's always a pleasure. It's an honor. Yeah. So yeah, I love that song.
But I've been waiting to ask this question to you, okay? Because I am a fucking fan. Like, I'm a big listen. I love me some P.Money. I love me some Scribe and all that shit. But no one tickles my pickle like fucking Tom Scott, yo. Like, what was it?
Tickles the pickle.
Tickles the pickle, brother.
That is, yeah.
That guy speaks to my heart, bro. That guy says exactly what my fucking childhood is like. There's some things on his albums that he said that I'm like, bro, I just fucking did that. Like the last week EP, I'm like, fuck, bro, he just described my whole week. I'm like, fuck, bro, I went to the fucking Warriors game and Parramatta game, and you know, like, bro, what's it like working with that dude? Man,
we only did that one song, eh?
Yeah,
it was. I think he was quite reluctant to work with me, to be honest. But you know, eventually twisted his arm, and yeah, he came through, and that song is just, it's wicked, man. I just love how he gets into a subject and he can articulate himself so well. And that one, you know, being quite personal about his thoughts on religion, and you know, the track being called Finding God. Yeah, it's kind of tough subject matter to tackle. It's not lightweight, and you could easily, you know, a lot of people would stray away from even doing a song about that because, like, oh, I don't want to get the feedback, like, you know, whatever. But to do it in such a smooth way, and it's, you know, it just feels good. It was cool. But as far as the sessions, like, he just came through. He had the whole song already mapped out. Him and Louis, and they just both came through. Evan Short was recording, and we just did that at Evan's house. It was quick. It was like an hour maybe, and they put down all their parts, and then I got to sit with the song and just put some real subtle effects and stuff on there, and I really didn't have to do much. It's just like the loop, the beat, they did their thing, man. Yeah, Tom's really unique. He's one of a kind. He's on my Rushmore of interviewees. I'm sure he does, man. He'd probably be on next week. Nah, I'll tell you what. He's like some of my tweets though, and that's all. That's enough for me. That's enough validation. That's my Shayfu telling me your beats are good. It's just him liking my tweets, bro. He like your tweets. He likes my tweets, especially. That's kind of it nowadays, eh? That's really it. That's like the nod of approval. That's it. Especially I want to throw back to that question you asked me right at the start, but that's the difference between, like, now, if I was a youth coming up and starting out versus back then, because I might have been someone that would be satisfied with, oh, they like my tweets. And then the story doesn't happen. You're making me look like a dick again, bro. No, I'm just saying, man. Me. Come on, man. Because I might have been, because I was so desperate. I was so desperate for that approval back then as a teenager. Like, oh, I want to be good at something, and you had to actually go to places and do a lot of work and practice and find some equipment and learn to be a DJ. You had to do so much. So pretty shit much just for someone to go thumbs up. Pete, and then you're like, yeah, I got a thumbs up. You're fucking killing me here. Okay, pretty much what you're saying is, Tim, you need to dream bigger. Okay, Tim. Okay, I get it. Fucking, I get it. Okay. No, I'm just saying the thumbs up is nice, but
Oh, okay.
What else? You gotta have a bigger. You just gotta have, not you, but people and all of us.
No,
all
I
of
take
us.
this personally, mate. Fuck.
I'm speaking for all of it, myself included.
I got
We
you.
need to find a greater purpose than just the like and the approval. That for me, that died out a long time ago. So I am on a new page. We're talking in a retrospective sense, but
Okay.
at one point, yeah, that meant everything. Like I want people to like what I make, and now I'm not so fussed with. It's nice, it's great to get the but you gotta. That's not why I sit down to make it.
Yeah.
So I have to find another reason, like why I'm actually sitting down to make some music. Like what is the purpose? That's the question at the moment.
It's that dopamine fix, like when you get a like, you're like, ooh, and then you keep getting it as opposed to doing something else. And
you're following, the stats and like how many viewers and who watched the replay.
Tell me,
man, it's addictive.
It is. And then when you realize, actually, the best thing is just to make some dope fucking shit, and then that's it.
Yes,
it's just be fucking and yeah. All right, bro, we're gonna get into some viewer questions, bro, because we've got so many.
Let's do it.
Let's go. All right, I've got DJ Blaze, aka DJ Blaze. In the chat, he says,
"What's up, Blaze?
What do you think is the next big innovation for DJing?" That's the first question.
Yeah, the current one is, as you maybe have seen, is the streaming side of for DJs to be able to access streaming services. There's been versions of that available, and now like Beat Source is a good one. That's it's integrated with Serato. I believe it's live now, but it's integrated with the Pioneer's Record Box software. So that means you can go on there and you don't have to have a whole library of music. You just open up and it's like going through a streaming service, like whatever. And so I think that's new, and but that's going to change the game. The more people that are able to use that, and the more reliable and solid that is. But as far as ahead of that, like I'm not really sure what the next. I'm usually kind of up on that, but I'd say right now we're having some pretty major technological progress. So yeah, I'd say that the streaming inside your DJ system is massive.
Do you reckon virtual reality might be a thing later
for DJing?
Yeah,
I love VR, like as gaming and experiences. I'm not sure where we're at with. I guess if it's to do it well would be quite involved, to like make an experience like a VR experience and to DJ live. But as a pre-recorded thing, I could see that. I could see people like putting on a headset and going to a VR party and someone's DJing.
Bro, did you ever play DJ Hero, bro?
Yeah, I was pretty good at it.
You're not on my level. I'm just gonna put you out there.
Probably not.
Yeah. Good. Good on you, mate.
I did the DJ Hero promo tour in the UK with me and Zane Lowe. So how's that for
fuck shit? Well,
when they launched the game, so we did like 6 or 7 shows.
Again, you're showing me up on my own show, mate. Okay.
Oh, come on, man. That's why I'm on the show. I'm giving you the goods. So people didn't know that happened.
Oh, fucking Zane Lowe's taken off, hasn't he? Holy shit.
Yeah, man. He was a big inspiration for me in the early days. For those that probably know now, or don't know, that he used to make hip hop music. He had a rap group, and he was a producer and a rapper, and I was a fan. And man, he's always looked out throughout the years too. He's always looked out, and he's still a good dude. So he stays in touch with the homies.
All right, this one's from Simp. Simp says, "What's the top 5 tracks you've produced and why? Do you think if you can put them down?"
Let's say top 5 as voted by everyone else, or top 5 for me.
You're satisfied with that? You were like, shit. I fucking love this track, but even if it didn't really get that much play.
There are not many remix. Is obviously huge and popular, but I am still very proud of it, and it was a life changer. What else? Good ones. Everything with Vince Harder, I still think that's pretty good, and that also became a big hit. And then some of the lesser known ones is probably I went back to it the other day. There's a song Victoria Harbour that David Dallas did, and I don't think it's on any of his albums. It's kind of hard to find. That's one of my favorite things that we made, because me and Dave we don't often work this way, but we got in the studio together on the same day, and I was like, "How you feeling, man?" He's like, "I don't know, kind of want to rap about this thing. I just came back from Hong Kong, Victoria Harbour." And I was like, "That's mean." Started finding some samples, like, "You like this vibe?" And then, we just went back and forth, and I added the drums and kind of constructed the music to match what he was feeling, and then he did the song. And anyway, look for that one. David Dallas. Two others that I'm proud of. Love Alone. There's a song called Love Alone with Vince Harder. off the Everything album. That's another slept on joint, but it's kind of house, but R&B, and that was supposed to be the big follow up to Everything for the UK market.
Okay.
And it actually did get a lot of support on BBC One with DJ Mr. Jam. He played it like 14 times in a row. Believe it or not, I'm not lying. In a live mix, he played it 14 times, but it still didn't do anything. It was cool. Like he supported it. What else? Yeah, shucks. The intro and outro to Big Things album. Those are still two of my favorite little pieces of music I ever made. Just those little bleep bleep bleep.
Yeah,
things at the start. Yeah,
I love fucking Stop the Music is one of my favorites.
Oh, that's good too. Yeah, that's good.
Just that beat. You could put that beat on a fucking like a movie score, and it would fucking fit in like any sad movie, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely very emotive. Scribe didn't want to do that song.
Wow,
I had to twist his arm, man.
Fuck, that's
been there's a lot of things like that with me and him. It's like, bro, you need to do this. And he's like, nah, no, I'm not really feeling it. Please, you need to do this. He's like, oh, I've only got 16 bars. I said, just write 8 more bars and we'll make it 3 8-bar verses. So he wrote 8 more bars.
That song's one of my favorites, man.
No, he loves it now, and he loved it once it became a thing, but it just took a little while.
Convincing.
Encouraging. Like, it will be okay. I think he was like, it sounds like a rock song. It's not my vibe. I was like, nah, it'll be mean.
All right, this is from Sly Will. Sly Will says, who's currently on your radar at the moment for New Zealand hip hop, both artists and producers?
Producers, Rory Noble, young LMC, and of course, as Smokies is still like just ridiculous. Then there's like the guys that venture more into the EDM or the dance. I don't know what you call it. I don't want to use the right term, like bass music, like Montel 299. I think he's incredible. There's a lot actually. There's so many, man. Like, yeah, there's a who else though? Artists. Oh yeah, artists. Well, I've worked really closely with Jess B for like 5 years now, from like discovering her on SoundCloud and kind of, I guess, in a way, coaching from the sidelines, just like giving her encouragement and notes on things and doing songs here and there. So I've been really proud of like seeing what she's done with the information. It was kind of like how Shay gave me a lot of info, and I do that for artists, and some take it and some don't. And she just took the ball and ran with it, man. She's killing it. So I'm really proud of Jess B. Who else? Oh, what's this kid I just heard the other day? Bro, I'm looking on my phone, excuse me. I think his name was K Wavy, and he's like 15 and from Marirewa. And he is
fucking Rewa.
Yeah, exactly. I thought you'd be proud of that. Yeah, K Wavy. And his Instagram is YBG Bartier. So he'll probably change that when he gets older. But no, he's got a couple cool songs. He's on that super new wave young kid style of hip hop, and but super talented. And I just saw him like this last week. I never heard of him before. And then turns out I'm pretty sure I know his uncles and went to school with him. So yeah, small world.
Get in there. All right. This is a question from Fiasco. Now, Fiasco is she's a bit of a troll. Okay. So just putting it out there. She says, her question is, oh, come on, man. There it is. P.Money. P.Money, what is your skincare routine? How do you still look 15?
I have a very bright light shining, so it kind of smooths everything out for the camera. That's one trick. For drink a lot of water. And I had a comfortable period where I got a lot of sleep, and that was prior to the birth of my daughter, and now I don't get much sleep. So I'll probably start looking very old soon.
Congratulations, bro! I didn't even know that about you.
Yeah, she's nearly 2. So that's been amazing.
That's when it all happens, brother. That's when that's when they start tearing the fucking house up, my G.
She is letting me know who she is every day.
All right, next question from Nortelica. Nortelica asks, "What's your favorite extra to have on a sausage sizzle?"
My favorite extra?
Yeah. You know,
mustard.
What do you put
on
it?
Mustard. I like if it doesn't have mustard, it's not complete. So that you can have the onions, tomato sauce, mustard, and cheese. But you got to have the cheese has to melt. So either you melt it on the bun or whatever, but don't just put cold cheese on my hot dog.
Yeah, because then it's all like flaky and shit. You know?
It's just whack. Cheese is supposed to be melted. That's why it's yum.
Tamagotchi asked, how many hours approximately did you put into your DMC routines?
how many hours?
Yeah.
I would count it in months. 6 months.
Damn. How many? Like, how hard are you going every day in that month? 3 hours, 4 hours at a time.
Minimum 3.
Wow.
3 to 6, depending on what time I have available. Because of course, you might have to go to work or do something else that involves not being at your turntables. But every minute available at that time, every minute available. Like I'd be mad at myself if I caught myself slipping and sitting after dinner, and then like Shortland Street comes on and I start getting into the show. I'd be like, what am I doing? And I go downstairs and practice.
Yeah.
Like I had to be practicing all the time because it was that level of competition.
All right, I got this question from T-Mod, straight out of Parnell. Okay, the Parnell Panther, T-Mod.
Whoa.
She said, and you can't be humble about this one, brother. Okay, do you see your influence in modern day New Zealand hip hop these days?
No. My personal influence? No. Oh well, I don't know.
That's a tough question.
I'm not sure because I'm not sure how. Other than like the example of Jess, that I mentioned, artists that I have worked like directly with, then yeah, I can see like where I've helped them and how they've gone on to make the most of their opportunities. But like, no, I think it's been ages now. It's kind of gone through a few iterations, few cycles, from that 2003-4 boom to like then the PNCs and then the early like YGBs, and then now that's kind of even old school in a way, because then you got the Mellow Downses and the Razor Beeses and and things move on to Switted, and then the young kids that are coming up. The short answer, I don't know if that's not a bad thing. That's just people who are doing it their way, and that's hip hop, man. Hip hop now doesn't look anything like what it looked like or sounded like, should I say, in 2004 for the most part.
Yeah,
and it probably shouldn't because it's kind of young people's music. There are thankfully some artists that have grown and aged gracefully, and older fans like myself can enjoy it and relate. But for the most part, man, it's a young people's game.
Yeah. All right, Kate. DJ Blaze again says, "Who's the best Street Fighter player that you've ever played that in New Zealand hip hop?"
Oh well, I'm the worst. So the best is Scribe.
Scribe. And what about at John Lumu's rugby on the PlayStation?
Yeah. Shei-Fu.
I'll bring that up.
Yeah, he used to just tear everybody up. Well, I'm useless. I was not good, so I would just end up scratching and playing beats, and because we'd be in this little shed, and Shay would be playing John Lumu rugby, usually against like Joey, the Fatmospheric, if you remember that MC. There would be them most of the time playing for hours and hours, and I would just be getting my scratch practice in.
All right, this is from Just for Kicks, who's a custom shoe guy in the Gold Coast. He says, "Do you remember Earl T? Earl that schooled me up on you and all the New Zealand artists and introduced me to Wu-Tang."
Is this guy asking me if I remember my best friend of my whole life?
Yeah, do you remember Earl, by any chance?
I remember him, mate. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
It's like my groomsman at my wedding. Like, yeah, I remember him. Yeah, man. No, Earl. I presume he's obviously talking about the same guy, Earl Tahiti. He's like, yeah, man. He's a low key legend of New Zealand hip hop because I think he appears in the most New Zealand hip hop videos for not being an artist. Because he doesn't rap, make beats or anything, and he's in everybody's video from that time back then. So anyway, that's one day we got to do a YouTube of just Earl and all his cameos because it'll be about 7 minutes long.
All right, here's another one from Orksbro. Orksbro asks, "What's your go-to order at 2J's, cuz?"
Yeah, see, I would get just the chips with the tartare sauce, and it was pretty simple because
it's pretty bougie, to be honest.
Well, that kind of was a thing because if you had a couple dollars, you could get that, and that's kind of all you needed after school. I didn't really eat there like for a meal. It was just in between meals. And it's just like, who's got some money? You got $1, you got $1, you just chip in, and then you get a big bag of chips, wrapped up and put the tartare sauce. But the worst part was it's quite disgusting because everybody was eating with their hands because you're on the street, and there's this tartare sauce over everything, and everyone's fingers have the sauce. and it would. Oh,
And you
that's
don't even
yuck.
open you never open the fish and chip, the newspaper
No, you
fully.
just
rip.
kind of tear the thing, and
Yeah.
you can, and it's like the steam on a cold day in the winter. That's a lifesaver. Keep you warm. It's like a hot water bottle, but chips.
As a says, Mr. Gig last time you were in Gizzy. Any plans on coming back?
Absolutely, yeah. We'll be back in Gizzy. I can't tell
Gizzy?
you when, because the way it works for me is people from venues will call and book, and then I go there. So when someone calls, and what are we, level 1 today? Those calls will be coming in. The phones are ringing off the hook this week.
There we
Get
go.
a bunch of gigs, hopefully. Yeah. Get back there.
Where's your favorite place to? I know you don't have to shout them up, but where's some good places that you like gigging?
Well, you can't really beat the New Year's run. So yeah, Gisborne Rhythm and Vines is right up there. I played it so many times, and always a big event. And then more recently, Bay Dream's been pretty crazy in Tauranga. So those are like the big ones that are wicked. And then I guess smaller clubs that I've had good times over the years. It's moved around. Like Dunedin back in the old days, Bath Street was really special. But we're talking 20 years ago, and those early days of first time getting out of Auckland, like first time going to other parts of the country to play music. Yeah, so back then, and then the Auckland scene, like Fubar when it was 03, 02, 03, 04, it was epic. But man, I play anywhere, man. I think I've played almost every town like of a certain size in the country.
Bro, I've got a school disco coming up, bro.
Hey, yes.
I'll be like, guys, guess what? I got this guy's P.Money. He's pretty good. I heard he's pretty good.
Yeah,
but
man,
I take my DDJ 200 into class, man, and I'm like, yo, rip it up, kids, go hard, and then awesome. get the old iPad going. It's fun.
It is.
Next question from Tamagotchi. He's got two. He's got. Do you have any instrumental sets coming out?
Instrumental sets like releases, like
releases.
Nothing scheduled, but wouldn't rule it out. I did actually just upload the old Big Things instrumentals is now on my Spotify. It wasn't there for ages, so if you're into that, that's there. And I think all the instrumentals from my albums are there on Spotify. But new instrumental beat tape. The most recent thing I did was a YouTube series. It's called Daily Beats, and there's about, I want to say 25, 30 beats on my YouTube channel. So check those if you haven't, because that's all my most recent beats that were sitting around on the hard drive. So you can listen through those, please.
And next question from him as well is vinyl repress for your discography ever going to happen?
Ooh, unlikely, to be fair. But never know if there's enough demand, enough interest. Because you got to have minimum orders for those kind of things. But yeah, let me know. Let me know if people want it. We can figure that out.
Put it out there. And last question, also from Tamagotchi. We've got the song placement on the Ribena ad. What was that about?
Oh, Not Many on. Yeah, there was a Ribena commercial in the UK and Europe, and it was so random. Wow, in the context of recent events, it would seem really strange because it was a joke, comedy kind of commercial. We didn't really have anything to do with it other than just saying, yeah, you can use the song. And then we got the ads back, and it was like cops in LA driving around, and they're like, freeze, everybody get your hands in the air, like you just don't care. And there's like these corny kind of hip hop things. And at the time, it kind of was funny, but then, yeah, pretty dark considering current how things have come about lately with the police violence and all that bullshit.
All right. So
cool. That's a bit of a dark moment.
No, shit. We went down there. Let's.
But yeah, it was a Ribena ad. Believe it or not, UK Ribena ad, but shot in LA, and it was like comedians, and it was all right.
Yeah. All right, bro. These are the quick fire questions from me. Okay, and we get crazy with these. Okay, so prepare yourself, mate.
Get ready.
Here we go. What's the strangest food combination, bro, that you've ever had? You've ever eaten?
Oh, I had kangaroo meat once, and I felt really bad about it.
Fuck, bro. Like, is that it? I thought you were gonna get into some crazy tarantula shit.
Well, nah. What have I had? Octopus. Wasn't that bad.
Come on, P-Money. Come on.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not very adventurous with the food.
All right,
Boring as can be.
Takeover or Ether, bro? Which one's the best, guys?
Oh, Takeover all
Fucking
day
thank you.
for 1,000 years and forever, and that is always how it has been and always will be.
Bro, are you a big Jigga fan, bro?
Yeah,
fuck, I love.
but I also like Nas.
Okay.
But I mean, those two songs is like there's no argument in my mind.
Illmatic or Reasonable Doubt, bro? Let's go there.
See that one, I'm gonna have to say Illmatic, but it's close.
That's the only time I'll give Nas a nod, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then after that, you know.
I was a bit slow on Jay-Z because I didn't listen to Reasonable Doubt at the time when it dropped. I heard the singles, and then I think I caught up with it like 2 years later. So I wasn't all the way in on Jay-Z catalog right from the start. But yeah, I caught on a little bit later, and yeah, he's definitely my top guy. Or top five.
Next question, bro. Is Kirk Harding the most underrated music story of New Zealand history? Nobody knows about this cat, but holy fuck. He has been everywhere. Him and Zane Lowe. I'm like, whoa, why did nobody know about these two dudes as much as...
Well, it's strange that you say that because I know both of those men quite well, and at various times throughout my life, I've spent a bit of time with them both. So to me, they're not unknown characters in the scene, but I guess I'm in the industry and have been for a long time now. So yeah, but I guess I guess people don't know about him, right? I don't know. Do people know that Kirk was like, yeah, he's got a good story. He's got a great story, and he's still working hard, still going, man. Living in New York, and he's from Māngere originally, grew up there, so that also makes it relevant for this podcast. But long time since he was touched down in NZ, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, man, legend.
Bro, what's your best? This fucking artist is a crazy motherfucker story. You don't have to say.
Sorry,
names.
rephrase that. What was the what?
What's your best? Man, this artist is a crazy fucking cunt. Like story. You don't have to say any names, but just go. There was this one dude, and you watch the chat. Will go, and it will guess it. Bro, you've got to have some story of some dude coming in like, what the fuck?
Oh man, I wish you'd have asked me this earlier so I could really think.
Do you want me to come back to the story?
Give me another one because I'm thinking. Okay. Yeah, give me another one. We'll come back to that.
All right. Out of all the setups that you've had, what's your favorite? Or like turntable setups? What's your go-to?
Man, I pretty much got the same. Well, I've got the exact same pair of turntables that I bought when I was 18. I still have the same ones. Oh. So the Technics SL1200 turntables that are behind me, if you can see them, 2 of those, and currently the Pioneer S9 mixer. I'm a big fan of all the Pioneer Pro DJ products. This is not an ad, but I really do like this stuff. Yeah, so that's my favorite because the technology now is just so much crazier, more you can do more than ever before. So the old school Vestax was dope. I used to rock that for the old scratch DJs that know. Vestax 05 was my go-to, but things have moved along a lot in 20-something years.
Yeah. What's the worst advice you've ever heard somebody give another DJ?
Ooh, worst advice that I've actually heard someone say.
Or someone give you, and someone's like, hey, you should do this, G. And you're like, get the fuck out of here.
Probably something like you should play such and such, whatever the most terrible, most obvious song is of the moment, and I don't like it. And then, but no, you should play it, and I don't want to play it because why? It sucks. Yeah, there's always one of those every era. But worst advice, I don't know, man. Actually, at one point in time, it was like a thing to, I guess, be how do you put it? Like place more emphasis on your technical know-how and ability over your musical knowledge and record collection. It was, like your music library.
Yeah.
Was of lesser importance. Like you need to know how to do this 3-clip flare orbit scratch, and that's far more important than having really tasteful, good music in your set. Which seems so obvious, but believe it or not, in certain circles that's still a thing, and it always breaks my heart because then you have these DJs that might learn all the most amazing technical stuff, but they're miles behind the pace, because when they go and play in front of an audience, they can't connect because
Yeah.
the music's not good. So, you know, it's always music first, and you can weave your technical stuff in there and you can do what you want to do. And it doesn't mean a compromise. It just means like learn about music first and understand and enjoy music and love music and know where it comes from and know like what to play, when, to who, and how. And then, you know, all the technical stuff can come along the journey.
Which leads me to my next question, actually. So if the devil, if Satan himself knocked on your door and he's like, knock, knock, and he's like, I want to speak to you, Pete. And you're like, yeah, man, what's up? You say, listen, I need one song to play on loop in hell. What song am I going to? What song is that, brother?
Cotton Eye Joe. That'll do it, eh?
Bro, I give my mate so much shit. He's in Timaru and he's a DJ. And I go, fuck, you don't have to do shit. All you got to do is play Cotton Eye Joe. For like 20 minutes. You'll be fine. All of these, I shouldn't say anything down. He's down in Timaru, mate. Like,
I know what you mean.
It'd be like, hey, play us some Cotton Eye Joe and some fucking Achy Breaky Heart and we'll be fine.
You know, man, and see, in those parallel universes and certain clubs and bars, that might be the jam to play. That might be like just be the one. That might be Return of the Mac for them.
Right, don't shit on Return of the Mac, bro. Whatever you do not. That song is fucking legendary in my
That's what I'm saying, you know. So it's one man's Return of the Mac, it's another man's Cotton Eye Joe.
Woody's,
I don't know.
At old Woody's, brother, at Manirewa, at Rewa Hard Bar. I'm there, brother. I'm in front.
Watch out. Watch out.
All right. What did you spend your money on the very first job you ever got, bro? The first pay. What was the first thing you bought, if you can remember?
Yeah, no, I think I still have it. It was back in those days. There was a thing called the Tascam Porter Studio, which was a portable recording studio. It's about that big, and it was a cassette tape recorder, but you could record 4 separate tracks of audio. And so I worked at a takeaways food bar, not the 2Js that we talked about earlier, but a different one. I worked at a takeaways and I was the short order cook. So I'm frying stuff up, making burgers and sandwiches and whatnot. Worked there and I bought this thing, man, this tape deck thing, so I could start making like mixtapes and overdubbing, like having different layers of beats. And then that became, what if I use this drum loop and put a sample? And I just started learning how to do music on this tape machine thing, and it cost an exorbitant amount of money. I think it was like $700 or something at the time. So it took quite a while to save up, but I did it, and it was a great investment.
Shit. It still works?
I don't know if it still works, but I still have it.
You still have
when
it?
They did a New Zealand Music History Museum showcase thing, I think it was at MIT. The Auckland Museum curated it, and they actually got that and put it in the exhibition because that's how archaic this thing is. Like, this is P.Money's first tape machine recorder, whatever, and they put it in the museum. And I don't know how I felt about it, because I was like, I'm not a literal dinosaur. Like, why are you putting my equipment? But anyway, it was all good.
Just deal with it, bro. You know, your age is, you know, it's getting up there, mate. Okay.
Yeah, no, it was a real wake up. I was like, oh, I'm those years old now, where they put my equipment into a museum. Hey, kids, this is what the ancient people used to record on.
Far out.
That was
next
crazy.
One, bro. Next question. This is what we ask every guest. These ones that I'm coming up to, bro. What's the best bakery you've ever been to, bro?
Ooh, best bakery.
Yeah.
Ooh.
There's a couple good ones in Papakura.
There are, but best.
Yeah. You've been all over the world, mate.
I know, that's the thing. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you. No, I've got one.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why this was the best before I tell you what it is the best. It was the best because when it was me and David Dallas and his now wife, Lani, we were living, we relocated to New York City for a period of time all together. And we had been there for a number of months and we were missing home like anything. And the one thing we all wish we could get was just a standard mince pie from the bakery. I was like, well, man, imagine if they had those in New York. And through fate, somebody introduced me to someone else who said, oh, there's this place called Dub Pies in Brooklyn. You should go there. And then our eyes lit up and we researched it and we found where it was. And it was about an hour and a half journey on the train from where we were living. And we made this journey out there and we went to this deep part of Brooklyn where this Dub Pies was, and it turned out this is a New Zealand man and his partner, and they had a pie shop, and they had donuts and pies, and we bought pies and we enjoyed them, and then we brought some back, and it was a wonderful, wonderful time. And at that moment, that was the best bakery on the planet Earth.
But was it just
a little
good
piece
'cause
of
you were
home?
Missing? Was it good because you were missing it, or was it?
Oh, it's entirely good because we were missing it, but it was also good. Now, if that was, see, because it was really good though at the time. At the time, it was mean. But I don't know. I don't romanticize too many bakeries, but yeah, they're like the one in Greyland, where's near where I stay now, is like pretty good. So, it's all good.
What's the go-to pie?
Mince and cheese.
Mince and cheese. That's a bit basic, bro.
I'm a basic kind of guy when it comes to food for the most part.
Oh, really? You're not a foodie kind of guy?
Nah, I've kind of become more so in my latter years. I have, and I'm also fortunate enough to know a couple of people who've made it their business to make food. So I very much enjoy, and shout out to the Lucky Taco, which is my good friend Otis, aka MCOJ.
Man.
They make amazing tacos, and sometimes we buy their kit and cook it at home, and it's almost as good as theirs, but it's best when you get it from them.
Bro, what's the first piece of KFC you go after, bro, in the bucket?
Probably a drumstick.
Again, bro, bit basic, eh?
But why? What? How can you? If you're eating KFC, you're basic anyway. Like, what?
Wow.
How is there a degree?
Your hood pass in Papakota just got fucking stamped out, bro.
No, you just asked me what I eat,
brother.
You asked me what piece I eat, and you said that was basic, and I said the whole experience and act of eating KFC is classed as basic. Is it not?
Bro, I'm actually regretting this interview, to be honest.
No, but I'm included in this group because we are talking about the act of consuming it.
Consuming KFC is one of God's many gifts that He's given us, mate.
Oh, you know what, man? Man.
Okay. Do you wear socks to bed, bro? Nah. Fuck, good on you, bro. Anybody that says yes is a fucking psychopath. Just letting you know.
There was a time when I was living in an incredibly cold house with terrible insulation and no heating. Therefore, I've said therefore about 5 times in the last 2 minutes. I don't know why. I never used to use that word.
I have that effect on people, you know?
Yeah, man, you're making me try to be more intellectual and academic.
My blazer. I'm wearing my blazer tonight. That's what it is.
And the desk and everything. I feel like I'm getting interviewed for a job or something.
Oh, bro, well, speaking of that, no.
Yeah,
bro,
I need one.
Here's another psychopath question, bro. Do you have pineapple on your pizza, bro?
Oh, I mean, I've eaten a ham and pineapple. Yeah, it's not my go-to flavor.
What is the go-to?
But, a really, really good like margarita from a fancy place, like with buffalo mozzarella on it. That would be my favorite.
You've come up in the game there, Pete. Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking
I'm a bit spoiled for pizza because we've got some nice ones around here. So can't go the chain ones. Got to go the fancy or just don't do it.
Bro, have you had a pizza club, bro?
Pizza club? Yeah, there's one down the road. I actually haven't had it. Is it any good?
Bro, it is good. Get that butter chicken pizza. That butter chicken.
What? A butter chicken pizza?
Yeah, I went there. What? I'm bougie.
And that's
too.
the go-to?
I'm fucking bougie too.
I just don't know if that's a thing. I'll go ask my wife, like, what's up with that? Because my wife is Indian, so she will school me on all Indian food, and I want to verify whether that is acceptable combination. But I guess if you're Italian and Indian, then it's like perfect.
Yeah, but still, like, don't tell her I said you should. It's great because she'll eat it and she'll go, "This is shit." Like, it's like, whoa, hold up, who told you to do this?
To be honest, like any Indian food that she eats, she'll always be like, "No, it's not as good as mum's," and you can't argue with that.
That's the thing. That's the same with bolap and hangi and stuff like that. Anyway,
it's just whatever you had as a child, you have those warm memories of. You're gonna have a positive association. Yes.
What's the cartoon growing up, bro? What was your cartoon?
Ooh, shucks. A few different ones, but for some reason, DuckTales just came to the front of my mind.
Yep.
DuckTales was pretty popular, pretty good.
Bro, can I ask for a favor, bro?
The Transformers series? Yep.
Could you fucking do a sample of DuckTales, bro?
I don't even remember the theme.
I here, mate.
I could.
Is this my chance, bro? Is this my chance to spit mad bars at P.Money? I know that song off by heart, bro.
You still remember it,
bro? How do you not remember it? That's what
I need a cue. I need a I don't know. I just haven't thought about it
every
in
day
decades.
We're out here making DuckTales, mate. Oh, woo woo. That's it.
I know that woo. Yeah, that's good, man.
Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg, mate. I don't know if you know this.
Are those the lyrics?
Yeah, man.
Man, this is way deeper than I thought.
What
Life is
else?
like a
You got
hurricane.
Transformers?
Yeah, the Transformers series was
Yeah.
pretty good. Oh man, cartoons. Shucks. Yeah.
Another banger that you could sort it out is from the Transformers movie, not the other one, the cartoon movie. They've got a song called "You've Got the Touch." You got the touch, mate. I'm telling you, bro. I'm dropping mad fucking. Yo, I'm feeling in my vibes right now, brother.
You're digging in the crates.
Are you Apple or Android at the moment?
I'm so locked into the Apple universe and have been for so long. I just don't know anything else. I don't even know if I'm happy about that. I once upon a time was proud of it, and now I just feel like this is where I am. This is what I have now.
You just got to
just Apple everything.
You just got to.
I don't know.
Yeah, feel for you, brother. I really do.
Yeah. Occasionally, I think, oh, my next phone, maybe I should get something different. But then I'm like, oh, but then they've got the computer, and then there's the Apple TV, and
But I mean, like, Apple is a DJ brand, pretty much. You know, like every DJ has a
creative brand.
Yeah. So, you know, what's the
if we were going to stay on the computer thing, that's actually a really good point, because the main music software that I use is Logic, and Apple now own that. It originally was a different company, but I stayed with that platform, and so that's a really main part of why I've always stuck with Apple, because that's how I make my music. It's inside that software, so I don't really know the other platforms.
I'm friends with.
I'd have to start again.
I'm friends with Joey Turkster, bro.
Yes.
Bro, that dude put me on game in terms of like, because he's like a computer IT guy. And he would just be like, nah, bro, you put this in here and you chuck this in. I'm just like, shit, that's crazy. I didn't know about this. Yeah.
He's got it all souped up.
Yeah.
I need to send him my old computer and see if he can, turn it into a mean machine.
He's the man. And what's your Macca's order, bro?
Ooh, see, man, you talk about a lot of junk food, man. I'm curious.
Oh, don't make this out to be about me, brother. You've already made me feel shit.
This is not the intention, but I'm just
into this fucking interview, bro. You were making me feel like shit, Pete. Okay.
Wow, man, is that how this is gonna be remembered? This is going down in the books as like, oh yeah, Pete came on and just made me feel like shit. So
in the first 3 minutes, Watch Kids said that. And I'm like, damn, Pete, you gonna put me on fucking blast like this?
I'm like, I don't like to just continue false narratives. That's all.
Yeah,
I'm learning all these like big words, lately. So it's good.
I've got 40 fucking people here watching me, okay? And then you're putting me on blast like this? Yeah, I went to the Macca's order. Yeah, I went to the. You could say a salad. Go on, say a salad, and then we'll move on.
But look, honestly, if anyone's going to McDonald's and getting a salad, but nah, like you know why you go in there. You just want to get something from the classics. You get a Big Mac, you get a quarter pounder. If you want to get a fancy, I've got to have a steam bun and I've got to have this and that mayo on my cheeseburger or something. Oh, that actually bothers me a little bit, as you can tell. So I'm like, why are you trying to engineer your own recipe? Just get the one they made. It's gonna taste pretty much the same. Anyway, I'm pretty simple like that too. Just so I did have a Big Mac out of lockdown, and after a couple of months of lockdown, it did taste like one of the most delicious meals I had ever had. And it probably wasn't, but it's all context. It's all where you are at the time. Just like the pie story.
Pete, you did it again. Okay, I'm that guy. I'm that steam bun guy.
If it makes you happy. If it makes you
Don't
happy.
fucking U-turn on that shit. Okay? Double down.
I just gave you my opinion, but it doesn't mean that you should feel any different about your opinion or who you are. Stand strong in who you
I'm
are.
looking for the thumbs up, mate. Okay? Please. All right, bro. Last question that we just had. What's the best? This artist is fucking crazy story you got for me. No names. You just go, bro. This one dude tried to sniff coke off a fucking. This guy was fucking doing lines on the fucking on a vinyl and just letting it scroll into his nose.
Oh man, I've had to rescue somebody from a set that they were supposed to perform, and I'd already played my set an hour or two earlier, and this individual was so into the vibe of the party and so lost in the vibes of what was happening that they was no longer able to operate the machinery required to perform the set. And I teetered on the brink of, shall I save this man, or shall I just let this catastrophe unfold? And I thought better of it, and I tapped him on the shoulder. I said, "Hey, bro, do you want me to take over?" And he's like, "Take the reins." And I took the reins, and it was a great party. I played for a couple more hours, and that individual went on to have a very illustrious life, shall I say, let alone careers. The DJ career was not too much longer after that, but other areas of life he's gone on to be incredibly fortunate and fortuitous and esteemed. And that name will never be revealed.
Doesn't need to, bro. It's safe with me. Shout outs to Vince Harder, by the way. No,
that's the last guy. He's the most cleanest individual I think I've ever come across.
That's why it would be funny if you just threw him under the bus like that.
It would be if that was Vince.
And it was a Saturday, and he had to go.
I don't know if I could say. How am I going to step into Vince's shoes and start dancing, singing, doing? He used to do backflips. Vince Harder stunned me when the first time we ever performed the single "Everything Together." In the middle of the song, before the second verse, he did a backflip from standing position.
Yeah.
I'd never seen this. I've worked with rappers my whole life, and this guy just jumps and does a full backflip.
He can dunk.
Like, whoa. I'm sure he could do anything if he put his mind to it.
When we used to run basketball against the kids, he would just dunk on them. I'm like, yeah.
He's dunking on the kids that he's teaching.
Yeah, man. Dunk on them.
You know who's the boss? I'm the teacher. You're the child. You will listen.
Anyway, bro. Hey, thank you so much, man. This has been.
Yeah, good chat.
Bro, I know that you don't really need a lot of plugging, but if anybody wants to follow the bro, P.Money everywhere on IG, you on that snap? Hey, you on that TikTok, bro? Stay off.
There is actually, I did actually create an account. There's 3 videos. That's it. I'm not being stupid on it. I just filmed my drum machine. So it's pretty dumb, but if you like drum machines, it's me.
That would actually be fucking amazing.
I should have kept it up. I could go back to it.
Man, it's blowing up at the moment, bro. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I don't know. I just you know what? What am I doing? TikTok. I'm 42 years old, mate. Leave it alone.
Hey, there's a man in this chat at the moment, and he's probably the same age. Okay, maybe a little bit younger. He's killing it, just making sausage sizzles, mate.
On TikTok?
On TikTok, he just makes different sausage sizzles.
Okay.
Hey, fucking hell, killing.
Well, there you go, man. See, there's limitless potential and opportunities in the world. Find your thing and do it. Hey. If that's your thing, do it.
Yeah. All right, bro. Thank you so much for your time, man. That's 2 hours of it. 2.5 hours, bro.
Oh, it's bedtime.
I know. Shucks. Shit. I gotta get to work tomorrow. Shit. Bro, thank you so much. Man, I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good. Good chat.
It was better than good though. It was great.
Oh yeah, you just upgrade it. It was pretty good. It was good. It was all right.
I'm just waiting. I'm trying to say I'm trying to get that thumbs up, Pete. There it is. All right. Thank you so much, bro. And we'll chat another time, eh?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, bro. Nice take care.
See you, Tim.